LaExcellence IAS Academy. ಭರವಸೆಯ ಬೆಳಕು.
So today we shall be discussing about your weekly current affairs, and I was given, okay, there was an article about that national one health mission, means there was an article regarding a holistic approach to One Health. Now before, this was an editorial, and the topic was about because India, after COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that India was not prepared for such a pandemic, but compared to many other countries, we were able to effectively handle that. Okay, so and during this course of pandemic, we have actually invoked the Disaster Management Act. Yes or no? Even pandemic was also disaster, and people were instructed not to come out to the home, and they were on quarantine process and all. So that means a need arise that in case of such extreme events, so it can lead to the it can be related to the health of humans, it can be related to the health of animals, or it can be related to the health of this ecosystem. For example, if you talk about the COVID time, COVID not only affected humans, it also affected the other species also. Yes or no? And we have different variants of corona, like for example canine distemper virus, which affected huge amount of wildlife throughout the world. And of course humans had the access to healthcare and instruction, but what happened to animals? They were not in a position to take care of themselves, and we had to witness lot number of casualties. Okay, so there is a scientific advisor, there is one agency which acts as an advisory body to the Honorable Prime Minister of this country. So it was earlier called as a Scientific Advisory Committee, and it was actually renamed into PM STHAIC. What is PM STHAIC? That is Scientific Technology Innovation Advisory Council. Now this STHAIC, the focus of this sorry, I've been facing some throat problem. I hope my voice is okay, not showing. This is not my usual voice. Right? So the objective of this PM STHAIC is to make sure that anything related to any diseases, okay, or anything related to the preparedness to fight against any pandemic or diseases or any sort of calamities, and for adoption of new technology, or like for incorporating any new vaccination or like therapy system, it is going to advise the Prime Minister office, right? And now the objective is to make sure that India is not going to have a different sort of approach, or like I should say, like we had this different nodes or different epicenters, and every ministry is concerned is with its own way of handling things. For example, we had this Ministry of Child and Women, yes or no? Ministry of Women and Child Development, right? It may sometimes coordinate with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, but when it comes to vaccine R&D and other sort of purpose, even the Defense Ministry or like Science and Technology Ministry it was not actually coordinating, especially like Department of Biotechnology. So the objective is to ensure that let us integrate all these ministries together. Okay, what is most important? First, we need to have a elaborate database, right? The database is very much important for us to make sure that how the trend is happening. If you want to have this elaborate database, then we need to have some technology which is like beyond human capacity. For example, application of AI. Okay, so AI compiles data, gives us information so that we can monitor how this disease or a pandemic or a virus is spreading. Okay, one thing. And after having this information, we need to make sure that the department undergoes R&D and come up with methods so that it can help the Indian medicines and other departments to cope up with situations like this. And the objective also include that we should not we should also take care of our environment. So suppose pollution is one of the objective, right? So as a purpose of this advisory council, even waste mitigation and also controlling pollution is also one objective. Okay, now the news is really simple. The news is simple that Prime Minister's PM STHAIC, which is an advisory body, endorsed the setting up of a National One Health Mission. Now we have two things we need to remember. One is there is one agency, one advisory body, right? And this advisory body is to only give advice. or like council, right? Ultimately they moved it for the setting up of National Health Mission. Hopefully this thing is visible, right? The font size is visible. Okay, so they said that if at all we want to have any approach, let us have an integrated approach. Let us integrate most of the departments and ministries so that we can coordinate with the information, and whenever possible we can create a network of labs connected to different ministries and ultimately compile the data and come up with solutions. Done. The policy, what is the name of the objective or the mission? National One Health Mission. Now regarding this, you need to understand what is the objective. For example, this may not be given in the content, but I would like to say objective of this National One Health Mission. What does the name says? The name itself says that National One Health Mission. That means our objective is to ensure that the health related aspects should be combined together and should be made one health. Okay, so health for whom? Obviously for humans. So we need to take care of health related problems of humans. It can be bacterial, it can be viral, it can be pandemic, or anything sort of related to even the geriatrics also. That is going to be integrated. First is health of humans. Second is even the health of animals. That includes wild animals as well as the domestic animals. Okay, and the third thing also includes the welfare or well-being of our ecosystem or environment. So the objective of One Health Mission, if it comes in prelims, if a statement is given, the objective of One Health Mission is to ensure that, right, country's preparedness. Okay, so country's preparedness for better management of diseases which are affecting not just humans to animals as well as the vegetation, like trees. Tree also get diseases, yes or no? Leaves also get disease. Ultimately it is going to spread from one tree to another tree, and it might eventually going to affect one entire ecosystem or a biome. Yes or no? So that is our objective. First objective is to ensure that preparedness in case of diseases. So of humans, animals as well as like vegetation. Okay, first point done. How can it be done? By integrating 13 ministries. So 13 ministries and departments will be integrated. Second point, right? Third, so you are going to integrate this. What are the work you are going to carry on? Three things. I'm going to focus on what? I'm going to focus on R&D, research and development, right? Second, disease control and pandemic preparedness. So disease control is better than cure. Yes or no? And third is in case of any future uncertainties, let us be prepared. Yes or no? There is a reason why the NDRF was formed, National Disaster Response Force, and we have an NDMA Act to actually make ourselves prepared to prepare for the or like be ready for the unforeseen events, right? In the same way, suppose if anything happens to a nation, it can be like COVID-like situation or SARS-related virus or something, a viral disease or the bacterial infection which is going to affect, or a fungal infection affecting the vegetation as well as animals. Let us be prepared. So for that, let us have continuous R&D amongst these 13 ministries as well as departments. Okay, done. Now, context for this, why it is necessary for us to understand, why is it one nation mission is important for us. So recently, I think the last year, India presided on the G20 summit. Yes or no, it was held in India, and India endorsed that most of the countries have this objective, most of the countries have this mission. You guys had lunch? Did you guys have lunch? I did not have lunch because I was late, so I have to come pick up early. So I think you guys are should be enthusiastic, right? Okay, so I can understand. It will take some time for us, for both of us to like come onto the one single platform, but hopefully it is not bad. You are able to follow. You guys are able to follow, right? Okay. So ultimately, the context was, for example, the context was like in the G20 summit, India endorsed this objective that healthcare is important. If you talk about healthcare, we have a number of articles. I think last week article came about hepatitis B and C, and there was articles related to TB, there was articles related to various other diseases or lifestyle diseases, right? Healthcare is going to be important because India carries large amount of human resource. 65% of Indian population are, I'm talking about like, a large percent of Indian population are youngsters, and most of the population do not have access to quality healthcare, right? So India is developing, and we are expecting our objectives to ensure that we want to become the we are the fifth largest economy, right? But our aspirations is that we have to become like around $10 trillion economy by this decade. Yes or no? And that is what also been observed by Asian Development Bank. They also predicted that India can become a $10.2 trillion economy by 2030. It can even go up to $15 trillion economy, right? For all these things, what is important? Health system is very much important. Okay, understood what is meant by One Health Mission, National One Health Mission, right? So National One Health Mission is objective is to make sure that India should be prepared in case of pandemic or in case of unforeseen events. Okay, how it can be done? By integrating different ministries. Third, by means of research and development, preparedness, and to control diseases, right? And also set up a network of laboratories, network of apex laboratories in India, research laboratories in India, right? To establish as a network of, right, important laboratories in India which may be involved in microbiology, which may be involved in virology, which may be involved in biotechnology, right? Our objective is to integrate all these apex laboratories and ensure data exchange, okay? And this sort of data compilation is done through adoption of latest technology like AI, machine learning, etc. Okay, or cloud compute, cloud storage, or even focusing on quantum frontiers, right? There are 9 objectives of this PM SAIC, which I'm going to discuss later on. I'm going to give you a code as to how to remember these 9 objectives, because ultimately in exam you're going to give see, 2023 was different, and you all know what is like the cutoff, and we might end up getting like 1 option, 2 options, 3 options. UPSC can also revert back to the old method by giving like 4 to 5. Which among the following is one of the goal objectives or goal objective or the what can I say, missions, one among the 9 missions of PM STHIC. So they can give 4 to 5, and the option can be 1, 2 and 3, 1, 3 and 5, or only 1 and 5, or all of the above. So for that we have to be prepared, right? Hopefully you understood what is meant by a National One Health Mission. Done, right? And for this we should have one apex agency. We call it as National Institute for One Health. What is that? National Institute for One Health, and it established in Nagpur. So obviously we should have a database, but should also have a place where we can compile this data and coordinate with different ministries and departments, and also with the labs, right? A central hub. Objective of this, the National Institute for One Health. So these questions can come because this is very crude sort of a prelims question, right? But many times I've asked apex institutions, research institutions, where are the locations? For example, National Institute of Oceanography. Options was like coastal, one was like in the Hyderabad. Hyderabad was actually having that center. So many of the students actually they thought oceanography means it might be somewhere related to the coastal region like Kolkata, Bhubaneswar, or like Chennai or Mumbai. So they did not even think that Hyderabad is having that center, headquarters. So you should be in a position to identify where the institutes are. Done? Okay. So shall we move forward? I can't rub this. It won't go away. Okay, I have to rub everything. Oh my God. It is better not to write. I'll dictate. It's better. Huh? So you have written some points about this National One Health Mission. So can I ask you, what is the National One Health Mission? Maintain similar sort of healthcare or like attention to humans, animals, and environment all together, right? How? By ensuring that we get sufficient knowledge, get their data, compile it, coordinate with the labs, and also come up with vaccines, right? And it can be done by integrating with 13 different ministries and departments. And what else? We have a center set up at Nagpur, okay? Then we'll go with the PM's Thai. There are 9 mission objectives. Write down. 9 scientific missions to address the scientific challenges. 1. Okay, you write down. I'm going to give us a code as to how to remember this. Natural language translation. See, natural language translation first. I'm going to give you all the 9 missions. Then I will explain one by one more as to why it is, what it is. Second is quantum frontiers. Quantum frontier. Third, AI, artificial intelligence. AI. Fourth, EVs, electrical vehicle. National biodiversity mission. National biodiversity mission. These are mission 1, mission 2, mission 3, mission 4, like they are sustainable development goals. So don't change the order. Okay. You can write 9 missions. Mission 1 is so and so. Mission 4 is national biodiversity mission. Mission 5, electric vehicles. National biodiversity mission. National biodiversity mission. 5th, electric vehicles. 6th, bioscience for human health. Bioscience for human health. Okay. 7th, waste to health. Waste to health. 8th, deep ocean exploration. Deep ocean exploration. 9th, write in capital Agni, AGNI. Abbreviation of that is accelerating growth of New India's innovation. Accelerating growth of New India's innovation. Okay. Now, what is natural language translation? I'll explain briefly about each and every mission. See, you know that if you want to get knowledge, obviously we're talking about the scientific innovation knowledge. See, scientific knowledge, technological knowledge, and innovative. So most of the language or the content we're going to get is in the form of English, right? But the objective of one of this PM SAIC is to ensure that every person or this sort of technological knowledge will be available to all the people. So therefore, it is important for us to translate the scientific technological knowledge into vernacular language. So the first objective is to ensure that translate all that so important scientific technological knowledge into vernacular language. So English to vernacular language. Yes or no? How it can be done? Humans can't do. Using machine learning and AI. AI can do that. AI can do that. It can translate, and you can also have big data and machine learning. Okay. And we should provide the research people fellowship with bilingual material. Done. So if option comes in the prelims that PM SAIC is an objective is to ensure, obviously that's an advisory body, but advising PM in what? Scientific technology and innovation. Yes or no? So for that, we don't not only promote the scientists and the researchers to come and innovate new things, we'll also ensure those budding or like doctoral students to get access to these materials in vernacular language. Done. So if option comes and you might think that language translation is not a part of innovation, we might go wrong. So be careful. On second, what is the second objective? Okay, fine. Obviously, we are talking about technology, means we need to make sure that we have to put ourselves into the forefronts of quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics, quantum computing, quantum calculation. For that, what is important? Training is important. Ultimately, you have to make sure that you prepare a content. You'll have a proper material with respect to the technology related aspect. But in what technology? In quantum mechanics. Understood? So objective is to ensure that we should achieve excellence in quantum frontiers. Why? Because it is important for us in the terms of national security. Yes or no? What is quantum mechanics? Talk about nuclear technology, right? Or like maybe photons or something related to electrons, subatomic particle, right? So that is very much important for us to ensure national security, maybe for energy purpose also, as well as for the defense technology. using quantum frontiers is important. Okay, so therefore we need to develop quantum computers, quantum chemistry, quantum communication, sensors, quantum cryptography. Therefore the focus of one of the 9 submissions of PM SAYAK is to let us become self-reliant in quantum mechanics or quantum related knowledge. Third, by using AI. AI is important, yes or no? AI, and I don't have to elaborate because ultimately we can apply AI in everything, every sector: healthcare, education, data compilation, right? Yes or no? Infrastructure development, everything. It can also design. Artificial intelligence. Done. Fourth, national biodiversity mission. See, national biodiversity mission, because of one of the objective. See, we know that it is also entitled for animals. So not only focusing on the human health and also for the understanding of technological knowledge, but also using this knowledge to conserve our biodiversity. For what is the first and foremost thing you have to use? We need to first document. We have to document how many endemic species are there, endangered species are there, right? I would have actually gone with this, but that will not actually make any sense if at all I'm not going to give you proper background. But once you know it, then you can get a number of articles in a course of 1 year about this, then you'll have a strong base. Done? And after which you can go through, because the materials will be given to you. What I'm saying to you is not there in the material, but it is very much important for you to understand, and that is how the UPSC is going to give questions in prelims as well as mains. So therefore focus on that. Okay, so the objective of this national biodiversity mission is to make sure that first you make an assessment of what all the species are there, both flora and fauna. First you assess that, then you document. Yes or no? Then you document, and ultimately when you have a proper document, you know that certain areas can be improved, so provide intervention mechanisms. Done. And you also train the cadre professionals for handling environment related issues like forest fires, how to handle forest fires, right? How to handle, for example, animal, there is any disease coming to the, or a pandemic coming in the witnessed in the animals, so how to provide the first response. So that requires training. Forest officials also require training. Okay, third means training the forest officials in handling environment data for better monitoring of diversity, and right, options of agriculture productivity and livelihood security for the people who are living in the fringe areas. Done. Who are the people living in the fringe areas? For example, buffer zone. We have a national park, core zone, non-interference, buffer zone, people or tribal people. That livelihood options and option of agriculture, sustainable agriculture, should also be available to them. National biodiversity conservation doesn't mean that the people agriculture or the livelihood option is snatched away. Don't see this sort of understanding should also be applied in your case studies, because when you're taking a decision, you students end up being very much ethical on national biodiversity conservation. So I'm only talking focus on the biodiversity conservation. I will not entertain people, especially even the tribals, to carry on small agriculture activities even in the buffer zones. Okay, you have to balance. You have to balance, and you should know that while calculating the Indian forest as per the Forest Survey of India, it will also consider the farm forestry and community forest. Yes or no? Sandalwood trees or teakwood trees, or even the mango plantation or like cashew plantation, that is also part of a forest. Done. Okay, and then last year, next is your public engagement. Fifth, which is the fifth mission, electric vehicles. Electric vehicles, we know objective is to make sure that less dependency on the fossil fuels and focus on improving renewable energy resources, especially focusing on the urban mobility, right? You know that oxides of sulfur and nitrogen are the byproducts of urban mobility, right? And that would lead to acid rains and ultimately increasing the greenhouse gases, increasing the concentration of the particulate matter. Yes or no? We need to reduce that. How can we reduce that? By adopting electric vehicles, both private as well as the public goods. For private, we have government program known as FAME. Have you heard of this? Faster adoption and manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles. We are in the FAME 2.0. Have you witnessed electric buses, transportation? On that, you can see FAME. Yes or no? And we also have our national renewable energy target, that we have to reach around 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by this decade. Earlier it was, of which the solar energy is around 150 gigawatts. Are you able to understand? Okay. So the EVs are important. Next, bioscience for human health. So bioscience for human health means ultimately something related to studying human DNAs, genomes, come up with some sort of stem cell technology, right? Finding cure, okay, for cancer, even for the cancer. Recently, like, have you heard of this CAR T cell therapy? CAR, CAR T cell therapy is one of the important therapy for addressing cancer and tumor cells. And next CAR is something which Indian scientists or Indian professors have actually come up with, which is much more economical when compared to the cancer treatment, and which is created. See, the next CAR T cell treatment, immunotherapy, I should say, CAR T cell immunotherapy is extracted from the mouse, but this is extracted from human bone marrow and integrating with the mice. So it is like more human. So what is that? You have to make sure that you find solution for any of the diseases using human genomics. So for that we need to have a reference map of our genomes, right? And how to exposure to different environmental conditions in the impact, and what is their impact on our bodies, right? That we need to focus. Second, focus on the genome study on half human population. Yes, because you never know, we need to identify rare and inherited diseases, because ultimately what is your objective? To have a comprehensive database about all the sort of diseases. It can be pandemic diseases, it can be viral infections, or it can be genetical disorders. We need to have a biosense for human health, and that is database is going to help you in better diagnosis and healthcare treatment. Done. Next is waste to wealth. So what is waste? What waste means, we have different sort of waste. We have solid waste, focusing on the solid waste. We have chemical waste is there, industrial waste are there, we have biomedical waste is there, right? So ultimately what is important? Treating them. Plastic waste, e-waste, so many number of waste are there. Our objective of this, one of the PM Psych, is make sure that waste should not become an environmental hazard. For that, what is important? Effective treatment is important. I can give one example where, have you heard of this New Delhi railway station? New Delhi railway station? You know New Delhi railway station. Whatever the biodegradable waste which is produced in that railway station, every day it accounts to 2 to 2.5 tons. And that is used to prepare energy which is going to again light up the entire railway station. Good. You're addressing waste, you're also producing energy. This sort of innovativeness. Okay. Next, deep ocean exploration. Why is it important? Deep ocean exploration is important for our energy requirement. Most importantly, I should say, some rare earth minerals. Yes or no? Polymetallic nodules, rare earth minerals. That is important because it also, one is your quest for the resources is addressed. Second, you will develop an understanding about deep oceans. Why is it important? Because the study of deep oceans and all, we can be able to assess them, what are the impacts of climate change. Okay, so that is why you have to also explore living and non-living resources. And last is your accelerating growth of New India's innovation, that is called as Agni. Okay, means Agni, the object is that create a platform where industry, academia, innovators come and exchange ideas. Industry can invest, academia and innovators can give their idea. Are you able to understand? For that, we need to have a platform which is going to facilitate the exchange of connecting innovators with individuals, industry, and also provide commercializing innovation. Innovation should be commercialized. Otherwise, it's not going to be of any use for the innovators. Who is going to provide with some such sort of connection to market facilities? These sort of platforms. Okay, so I should say that a platform for techno entrepreneurship. Yes or no? Right? And means that also involves government R&D labs, academia and industry, plus training, capacity building of scientists and innovators, etc. Ultimately, we are preparing our individual innovators and scientists to be ready for the future challenges. These are one of the 9 submissions of what? PM Psych. Now, coming back to the code. Okay, are you ready? I know it will take some time for us to get acquainted, and I've given very short notice for this, but no problem. I would try to make it as much interesting as possible. Okay. The first, what is object? What is a goal? I'm going to ask you. Okay, national. What is that? Natural language translation. Okay. Objective. How can you remember? PM STHAIC. STHAIC means what? Science, technology, innovation. I'm going to ask you a question, and you should write those questions. And okay, my first question is, technology is there. Yes or no? Technology is complex. So technology needs to be what? Translated. Yes or no? Translated in simple languages. The first point is why is it important? Because for understanding. So you have a technological knowledge, but that is very complex. It requires translation. First point understood? So it requires translation. Okay. Now if it requires translation, in what? If you said the technological information, okay, in what it is required? In quantum frontier. In quantum means, imagine that I'm giving you some technology and you say, sir, I don't understand. Okay, I'll give you some sort of a machine which is going to translate everything I say in technical language. Okay, in some, but first is the translation. And which book I'm giving to you? Quantum frontier. Yes or no? So quantum frontier, it is very hard for you to understand. So you take the help of what? AI. You take the help of what? AI. Okay. So we have a technology, then we have a national language translation. For that, this national you need to sorry, that should be there in quantum frontiers, and it is given in AI. Okay. Now you go through that AI and you develop national biodiversity mission. I asked you to do quantum mechanics, and you come up with the national biodiversity mission. Okay, yes or no? And using what? Using, so you said that national biodiversity mission can be done. You can conserve the biodiversity by giving electric vehicles to the animals. This is how you can remember. The more illogical it is, the better way you can remember, because this is code, right? This is not logic. Always when it comes to memory, don't try to be logical, because you tend to forget. The most ridiculous and the illogical things stays in your permanent memory, right? Okay, so are you able to visualize the situation? Technological knowledge I wanted to give you, that should be translated. Yes. In what? I asked you to do in quantum frontiers. Okay, you used AI. From the AI you develop national biodiversity mission, and your objective national biodiversity mission to give electric vehicles to animals. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? Now when you talk, you gave electric vehicles to animals. Now problem is that humans are walking. Okay, so humans don't have anything. Then I ask you to do bioscience for human health. So human health is suffering because of the pollution created by the EV. EV does not create any pollution, but that imagine. Let us imagine in your story, EV create pollution. So what is important? Bioscience for human health. Yes or no? And for that, imagine animals coming and operating humans and installing some sort of a device, and after operation so much of waste is generated. Done. So what is that? This is the medical waste, and you come up with a mechanism where you can convert this medical waste into gold. Waste to wealth. Okay, so waste to wealth. But you people, one of your mother does not know what is that waste to wealth, and she came and threw it in the ocean. Yes or no? She came and threw it in the ocean, and now you started doing what? Deep ocean exploration. Ultimately, you could not get it. So what did you do? You had this Agni Astra, and you threw on the ocean. Ocean vapor. Ocean got evaporated, and you got back that wealth. Got it? Boring? Boring? I want to repeat again. You won't remember as long as you don't try it. First of all, again I'm going to repeat. First, what is there? I have given one technological. See, we have an innovation objective, right? That technological knowledge I want to disseminate to you. It is not possible because I have to translate. So national, look at, I'm going to say the story and you just look at the missions. First, what is the first mission? National language translation. Okay, so the translation is required, and in what the translation is required? What was our objective? Which area we need to focus upon? Which area we need to do the research in? I asked you to do the research in quantum frontiers. Yes or no? So mission 2 is what? Quantum frontiers. So you could not understand. So therefore you used what? AI. And AI actually misguided you. So using the AI you created what? National biodiversity mission. National biodiversity mission means what? Providing which vehicle to animals? Electric vehicles. So electric vehicles created pollution, and it affected the human health. So ultimately, bioscience for human health. Okay, operation to the humans, and what is left behind? Medical waste. So you converted that medical waste into what? Gold. Some sort of a what is that? But Harry Potter spell. You converted that into what? Gold. Okay. So your mother did not know about that. She came and threw it in the ocean. Okay. Then you started looking for it. Therefore, deep ocean exploration. You could not get it say after you came out to come to the bank on the coast, then you used Agni Astra. So entire ocean got evaporated and you got back the gold. Easy? Easy to remember? Okay. Let us move to the next part. So now coming back, see again, PM SAIC is an advisory body. So it replaced what? Scientific Advisory Committee. Done? If you are done with this, this is the important information, or we can revise on this. Why isn't it working? Okay. Right? So I'm going to focus only keywords. That is how you are supposed to read. Don't read entire sentence, because sentence you can frame, you're all educated. Sir, are you able to understand? Okay. What's your name? Sudhir. Kannada? Artha agtidya? Okay, fine. Right? So first point I need to remember. What is PM SAIC? It is a advisory body to PM. Tell me. Okay. What is PM SAIC full form? Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council. Right? Earlier, what was the name of this? What it replaced? SAC, that is Scientific Advisory Committee. Okay, na? Right? It is chaired by who? Principal, who is the chairperson of this PM SAIC? Principal Scientific Advisor to PM, right? And who are the other members? Eminent scientists, technologists and innovators. Yes or no? Key features. What is the key features? Simple. Disease surveillance. Object is that you survey diseases and also make sure that in case of any outbreak, I am prepared. Joint outbreak response strategies. Joint means what? Integrated departments or integrated response forces. Understood? So first is you monitor surveillance. Second, in case of any outbreak, let us have a coordinated joint response units. Done? Then, okay, linking national level laboratories. Yes or no? Third, using AI, technology like AI, machine learning. Done? And genomic surveillance from wastewater or any other sources. Okay? And it is expanded for livestock as well. Right? So on a regular basis, you are going to do genomic surveillance. On a regular basis, what are you going to do? On a regular basis, you are going to carry on a genomic survey on, like, whatever the wastewaters are there, right? It should be applicable for livestock as well as environment sectors also. Okay? What is the way ahead? Way ahead means of which, if you talk about the context, right? So it has been reiterated and it is going to be one of our objectives in the as conceived in the G20 summit. Okay, the cooperation. What is important is that now obviously the government of India is integrating all the ministries and departments. Apart from that, they should also coordinate with the industries as well as academies, like for example Indian Institute of Science or Indian Institute of Technologies. So no, these apex institutions and even the NGOs should also work with this. And additional framework for One Earth, One Health and Health for All goals are also important. Strong R&D, especially vaccine development, is vital for pandemic preparedness. Done? Okay? Right. Second, the status of unemployment in India. India, given by the International Labour Organization and Institute of Human Development. First question. Recently, Indian Employment Status Report. The name of the report is India's Employment or Unemployment Report. Okay? India's Employment Report of 2024. Okay? Who released this? ILO plus IHD. Both together. It's easy for us to come up with International Labour Organization, but the Institute of Human Development also were the co-surveyors or the people who actually come up with this survey or the report. Done? So before going to this, because the content here is not concised or like, right? I'm going to discuss about this is like a report and it has been divided into 6 units. So 6 units talk about 6 trends specially focused on India, right? This status is important. Why? Because, okay, paper, previous article, where can you use this? PM Psych, which paper? GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4? GS? 3. Science and technology is there, right? And health is also there. And we can also use it for the healthcare sector in paper 2. It comes as a welfare, right? Done? So this is in labor. Labor reforms. So ultimately what is happening, India is one of the largest youth population in the world, but problem is that we have a large number of educated unemployed people, graduates or people who are like, there are so many reasons, and this is a very comprehensive study. So I can expect a question from this, at least in your essay or mains. Okay, so you should know about see, facts are not important, trends are important. You need to understand why it is like this, or in which area we are facing problem, what are the cause of it, and what could be the possible solution to this. And there is also another article coming after, which is like interrelated. Okay, so first article talks about what? India's employment report 2024. Okay, it talks about 6 units. Write down the 6 units. First talks about demographic trends and unemployment challenges. Demographic trends, and so India's, what is the demographic trends and unemployment challenge? I could have written here because sorry, I could not use it on this. Do we have a board here? On this you have to write again, I have to rub bar. Achha, I can shift here. Okay, that's good. Which is the next page? Right? So second article, what is that? India's employment report. I'll use short form if it's okay. Right? 2024. So who has done this? ILO and Indian Human Development. Right? So first, what is that? Demographic trends and unemployment challenges. So demographic trends and unemployment challenges. I don't know. They are asking me to, like, even this is affecting me. Honestly, this is affecting me. I don't know whether I'm be having the liberty to off this. Can you please call them and ask them? Okay, fine. Is it affecting? Okay, fine. So first is demographic trends and unemployment challenges. See, thing is, we need to know how the unemployment is happening in our country. Unemployment, especially, first of all, you need to understand India is having large number of unemployment. Among all the unemployed, larger section are educated youths. Larger section are who? Educated youths. And youths, for example, if I talk about in 2022, the number of educated youths were 61% of the total unemployed. 61% of the total unemployed. It has grown to 64% in 2024. Yes or no? So in 2022, how much? 61% was there. Now it has increased to 64%, and in 2024, and it is going to improve up to in 2036, it will become 65% with an addition of how much? 7 to 8 million unemployed educated youths. I'm talking about unemployed educated youths per annum. Unemployed educated youths per annum. Right? So cause of concern. First we'll understand the trend. That is what they're saying. They have 6 units. And in the last unit, they also provide solution. Okay? But they first understand the trend. Okay? Done? And the participation. Second is participation in the economic activities have reduced from. So, economic activities means any income generating thing. So, the educated youths participation have reduced from 54% in 2000 to 37% in the present year. 37% in 2022. So are you able to see the trend, demographic trend happening? Yes or no? We have human geography. We will also have a chapter on human demography. Yes or no? And we also have a chapter in economics as a demographic transition. So make sure that you have a clear understanding about the status of your country's unemployed youth. Right? Is this a cause of concern? Every year 7 to 8 million uneducated youths are created. What is going to happen? Ultimately, the pool of unemployed is going to rise predominantly. Correct? First, second. It is better I explain, dictate, but otherwise it's going to take time. But I can probably write down the short forms. Done? So second is what? Youth employment, unemployment to youth unemployment a predominant issue. This is the second title. We have 6 units or 6 chapters. First chapter is demographic trends and unemployment challenges. Talks about broadly the trends in India and what are the challenges. Okay, later on we will talk. Obviously, this is challenge. Not able to address 7 to 8 million population is it's going to be additional burden on the employment market, right? Okay. Second is youth unemployment a predominant issue. Now, if you talk about the educated means which area? Secondary and higher secondary. Yes or no? This is how UPSC is going to ask questions. So recently the India unemployment report or employment report was given by ILO and IHT, right? And it talks about how much there is predominance of employment, particularly which are the sectors, which of the education, primary level, secondary level or graduate level, higher and secondary education. Sorry. Right? So where is more amount of unemployment? Secondary and higher education. How much? 82.9%. So of the total unemployed, of the total unemployed population, not the total population, of the total unemployed population, the higher and secondary graduates are more. Okay. So higher and secondary and higher education means 82.9%. Okay. Done. So we have total unemployed. In that unemployed youths, educated youths are more, and in that educated, especially belonging to the higher and secondary and higher education are more. Done? Okay. So in 2000 it was 54.2% total educated youths. Total educated youths, how many were there? In 2000 they were 54.7%. Now 2022 they were 65.7%. See, make sure the previous point talks about total unemployed youth. In the total unemployed youth, you have people belonging to secondary and higher education. That is, people belonging to the graduate or the post-graduation level, there will also be more. Or people even belong to the lesser middle school or like fourth. We'll talk about educated means even getting a literacy of up to 6th standard is you're literate, right? So from high school, from 6th to 10th standard, even they are also considered to be literates, so or educated. So that constitutes 65.7%. Okay, so 65.7% in 2022. So there is a marginal improvement of almost 10%. And amongst this total unemployed, educated youths, I'm going to ask you, who are the most, male or female? Female. So that is observation. So obviously among all the educated youths, the quantum of female educated youth not getting employment is more than the male. Can you please think about any reason why I asked it? Social conditions, marriage, lack of support, lack of entrepreneurial, for women it is really disparity. In gender, even it talks about, you talk about the pay disparity, but mostly because of the societal norms. You provide education, but ultimately you don't send your kids to go and work outside. You are only confined to home, doing on the taking care of the family, doing domestic work, be a part of the care economy. Done? Okay. Third, crisis of job opportunities and skill mismatch. Crisis of job opportunities and skill mismatch. That is our third observation. Means there is lack of job opportunities and unemployable educated youth. First of all, there is no lack, opportunities are there, right? And most important, even whatever the jobs are there, they are not, these educated graduates are not trained in the market oriented way. Means you don't have the necessary skill to get the requisite employment in the market. Means you have a flawed education system. Yes or no? How many of you are from engineering backgrounds? Right? You had done campus interviews and all. How much of is taught in the college is relevant in the market actually? You have to go do some private courses, and ultimately you will be trained in something. You're going to get a different thing, ultimately doing a different job altogether than what has been taught academically, right? That is called as lack of functional literacy. Functional literacy is not that you have academic literacy, but you don't have the functional literacy. That is one of the problem. And most second is India's education system is really flawed. Automatic. I should say this on record that Indian education system is really flawed. We've been trained to actually ratify things now rather than understanding, and forget about people developing the quality of entrepreneurial abilities. How many of you would have thought of going for business and setting up businesses? No. Or particularly how many of you are trained in vocational training? Training is not given, vocational training is not given because you only feel that this is a white collar job, you study, you sit in the office, you either become doctor, engineer or some, that sort of a mentality is there. You will ultimately work for someone else rather than thinking of starting your own entity. It's not possible. That sort of little inability is there. And increase of employment in agriculture, especially after COVID, the amount of agricultural labours increased. And though many of them are also educated. Why? Because there was lack of job opportunities. It has continuously affected us. And fifth is gender disparity in labor force participation. We all know that educated women are lower than the educated men. Reason: societal norms, lack of supportive policies in environment, marriages, etc. Right? Last is strategic recommendation for addressing youth unemployment. So how can you address this? Make it assignment. Make it assignment that probably by next week, if at all you're coming, make sure that how can we reduce the youth unemployment in India or throughout the world? That's a main question for you. So it can be 10 marker or 15 marker. Please write down. So what are the measures taken to reduce youth unemployment in India? Okay, I'm going to leave it to your own work, because ultimately you have to do something. Done? So these are some of the observations. These are some of the observations of which report? India? You want me to tell a joke? Because you people are like, I can understand 2 o'clock batch is like a little bit dull, and coming up, having a topic like this is really painful, right? And especially the light also. But hopefully, we're all UPSC aspirants, right? We should be like, not me, my attempts are gone. It's almost like I'm a senior citizen. I'm not eligible to take up any exam in state of Karnataka or government, right? So now we know the basic observation of this report. We'll also look into what are the content given in our current affairs material. So first, it is given by whom? International Labour Organization. And please repeat, because the more you say, it is going to be registered in your permanent memory. That is why you don't forget the rhymes which are taught to you in our school days, right? Because you have trained, your tongue has been trained. The more you practice it, by looking, listening, okay. Repeating, better. Writing, even better. These are the stages of retaining things permanently. Ultimately, you want to retain, right? You have to retain knowledge, and you're sitting in front of the PT or the interview board. So obviously, things should come randomly, and that is all the cumulative effort of this sort of thing. Small. So Indian Employment Report is given by whom? International Labour Organization and Institute of Human Development. Okay. See the trends. 2/3 of the unemployed are young graduates. Simply to understand. Yes or no? 65.7%. Almost 2/3, right? Okay. And there is the periodic labor force survey shows that how much is the unemployment rate across India? It's more, and especially states like Goa and Kerala are having higher unemployment rates. Goa is having 10% unemployment rates of educated youths, right? So again, PRELIMS topic: which among the following states have the highest unemployment rate as per the latest India employment report of ILO and IHD? Which is the state? Goa and Kerala. Goa being the highest, 10%. Done? Okay. So next, the states which are having self-employment, the states where the people are more self-employed are having the lower unemployment. That means you may be educated, but you start up a chai thing. You can start up anything, right? You can start up anything, probably a machine tool unit, or probably maybe a cable center, or you can also start up a driving school. They're huge remunerative. Ultimately, you want to sustain your family, support your family, start earning, right? So where the self-employment rate is there you have lower unemployability, and problem higher education level among the labor force is associated with higher unemployment, right? See, people who are educated or graduates, the conscience do not agree, comply or help them to go and take up jobs which are like having menial or like physical activities are involved, right? And they don't want to even venture into a new area apart from their academics. Why? Because for the love of what they have studied in the schools and colleges. It's not necessary for engineer to remain engineer throughout his life or her life. You can start up anything, like Rameshwaram Cafe, example, right? You can set up anything. Ultimately, objective is to make sure that you make money. Make sure that your unemployment is not there and you take care of your family and yourself. Done? Okay? So, problem here is that one of the problem with unemployment, why this is hesitation of this educated youth to take up non-vocational training or skills, like additional skills are not there for any industry related jobs. So therefore they are unemployed. Analysis means graduates lack the skills. You understand? Are you able to understand? We have already discussed that. This is just that article is the main article what I've discussed. This was an editorial. So the content which is given is from the editorial. So they are only analyzing the trend. So they are lacking what? Skills needed for modern sector. Yes or no? So what is required? Therefore, you need to provide skill-based training. Okay, and also set up infrastructure. Next, aspirations for high wage jobs. Yes or no? Your aspiration is always high, but reality less. Yes or no? So your mind, you don't actually willing to compromise and work with the low jobs. You tend to stay with your family and be a burden, right? So that is also one of the problem, lead to the graduates to shun informal employment, right? And third, next is structural transformation with reduced agriculture and increased urbanization and education heightens unemployment pressure, right? So what is happening? There is rural to urban migration, right? People have stopped doing agriculture activities, even that is also beneficial. People should know like how to commercialize agriculture in terms of if there is good rate means you can earn lakhs together. But they have left agriculture and ultimately how many of the villages want the kids to become farmers? Everyone wants their kids to become educated and move out of the village. That is also one of the trend, right? People moving out of villages and agriculture is left behind. Done? Okay, so what is way ahead? Ultimately, the government should intervene and come up with a policy to make sure that the employment generation is crucial and mitigate rising unemployment trends in developing economies like India. Done? Okay, so you look at how much is the unemployment rate? Nearly 10%, right? Which is above the national average with Kerala. So which are the other states? Goa, Kerala, Haryana, Punjab. Okay, shall we move to the next article? Issue, hepatitis warning. Hepatitis warning means we have again another report, a WHO report, World Health Organization report, right? That India is having the second largest burden of hepatitis, viral hepatitis in the world. See, there are like 10 countries. China is having the most. 83. We have 5 variants of hepatitis. What is hepatitis? Hepatitis is a viral infection. We have 5 variants: A, B, C, D, E. They are waterborne, right? Are they airborne or waterborne? They are usually from the contaminated food and contaminated water, they are going to be spread. Hepatitis. And the report only focuses on the contaminated blood-related transfusion. Yes or no? So the focus is not on entire hepatitis. The report only focuses on 2 hepatitis, hepatitis B and hepatitis C, and hepatitis B being the largest, right, in terms of contamination and in terms of spread. Okay, so B and C together in India, obviously, like they have different ways of treatment. So what I was trying to say is that of the 5 variants, we are not talking about contamination coming from the food or something else. There are certain observations made by the World Health Organization, and this report entirely is confined with respect to blood, contaminated blood. Okay, so if it is a contaminated blood, how it is transferred to the humans? Either through syringes, right? For example, more than 70% of the hepatitis C infection is syringe-related transfusions. It is not possible that the blood banks can give the contaminated blood. Otherwise, how it can happen? From 90% of the hepatitis B is from the mother to child transfusion. Is this curable? Yes, it is curable. Hepatitis B can be cured through vaccination, C through medications. C is simple because you can take the medications for 12 to 24 weeks, you can be cured of hepatitis C. But problem is that lack of awareness, lack of availability of the medicines. Even cost is not a factor. Cost is very less when compared to the other countries. But people are not aware of it, and there is not necessary actions taken by the government of India also. And most importantly, the treatment is abysmally low. People who are diagnosed with hepatitis B, if I say India is having 29 million people who are suffering from hepatitis B, but the diagnosis is only 2.5%. For B, for C it is 30%. So don't you think there is stark difference? And even the identification also less. And people have actually ignored this. Why? Because it kills as many number of people as TB. You know, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, the amount of interest or the amount of efforts done to cure the TB is so much. But for this, it is very much less. But it is also killing the equal amount of people. So, therefore, there has to be a renewed focus on curing hepatitis. Done. So this report talks about entire world, particularly about India. China being number one, 27.5% of the global outbreak of total D and C is China. That accounts to 83.5 million, 79 hepatitis B, and next 5.5 hepatitis C. India, same thing, 11.76% of world. I'm going to give you data, no problem. I'm going to give you the data, don't worry. I'm just creating a context, right? So that much of difficulties are there, not much of spread is there. So this article talks about what are the reasons for it, what can be done to address it, right? Problem, solution. First we'll talk about the status, present status. Why is it? Then solutions. Okay, right? Okay. So if I want to talk about this report in 2022, see, they want to talk about in 2019 it was 1.1 million death. How many people died? 2019, 1.1 in 2022. So within 3 years, the number of people who are dying out of hepatitis increased to how much? 2 lakh? 2 lakh people, yes or no? Right? 2 lakh alva. 1.1 million, 1.1 million is 11 lakh. That is 13 lakh. So the number of people dying out of hepatitis, first point is that have increased. Yes or no? That is something. So this is negative. Second, but there is a positive that right, number of new cases. So new cases went down from, in 2019 it was 2.5 million, and in 2022 it was 2.2 million. So the new cases have went down, but the death have increased, right? Easy to understand. Okay, so which is the country is having largest? China contributes to 27.5. See, the first 10 countries contribute to almost 66.5% of the entire hepatitis cases in the world. That includes first China, second India, third Indonesia, Pakistan, even Russia is also there. Then others are 33%. So India is second. So India is having 11.6%. In terms of numbers, it is almost 35.3 million people suffering from hepatitis. So this is in terms of 83.8 million, right? And I have discussed about hepatitis, right? How many variants are there? The report is focused on, see, the report is only focusing on hepatitis B and C, which are chronic, and especially blood related infections. Yes or no? Contaminated blood related infections. hepatitis will come from infected or the contaminated food and water. But here we're focusing only on the report is focusing on the blood-related transfusion. Okay, done. So we are getting the idea about the world, what is happening. So out of both, which is having most? Hepatitis B is most, and it is treated through vaccination, and this vaccination, the treatment happens lifelong. See, this is some of the problem. The vaccination or the thing is lifelong. This is largest in number, and this can be hepatitis C can be treated with drugs or medications, and this is a shorter care. You take 12 to 24 weeks course of medicines, it's going to cure. Like the Hansen's disease, like the TB, yes or no? We give medications for a certain period of time, it will be cured. Problem is that, like this is a problem, the number of deaths have increased. Problem here is that diagnosis. You have this many number of cases. Okay, you may feel happy that the number of new cases have reduced to 2.2 million. Problem is that how many people are getting diagnosed? Only when it comes to hepatitis B, right, and hepatitis C. Here only 2.5% of the total detected cases are only diagnosed. Are you able to understand what is meant by diagnosis and detection? Detection is different, but diagnosis only 2.4% of hepatitis B, and hepatitis C is 28%. So they are going to ask you not the percentage. They are going to give you a statement. Recently, right, there was a report by the WHO, and it said that the people diagnosed with hepatitis C are more than people diagnosed with hepatitis B. Is the statement correct? I'm going to repeat the sentence. In the recent report, it has been shown that people diagnosed with hepatitis C are more than people diagnosed with hepatitis C. Correct? First statement. Second, the number of people suffering from hepatitis B is more than the hepatitis C. Correct? Both statements are correct, but they intentionally want to give that sort of mutually opposite sentences to make you confused, or you end up either opting for one sentence. UPSC, one of the trends is that they want to confuse you people. So you should be very much aware. Follow the trend. Percentages are not important. Trend are important. Done? Okay, na? Right? Okay. Now, what is driving the viral hepatitis cases in India? In India, now we have to talk about the trends. Hepatitis B, most amount of transmission is coming from mother to child. How much? 90%. So 90% of all hepatitis B transmission is coming from mother to child. So how can we cure that? By giving vaccination to mothers. But we'll talk about how it is transmitting. Hepatitis B is transmitting from mother to child. Of all the B cases, 90% is from mother to child. Understood? C, viral injections, injected contaminants, contaminated injections. So nearly 70% of all the hepatitis C is from contaminated needles. Done? So now are you getting some idea? That's it. You can speak to anyone about this. You guys have we have two sides of variants, and which is like blood, contaminated blood. Especially the people who are affected from the C are taking infected needles. So that means drug abuse. Easy as that. And see, it cannot happen in the government, even hospital also, because we use stack needles. Yes or no? We have sterile or like properly. That cannot happen. That can only happen outside. That is also one of the finding. WHO says that the contaminated blood cannot come from the blood bank because blood banks are properly, they are hepatitis free. Don't they actually look for any other diseases like HIV and all sort of things? Everything is done. So blood transfusion with from the blood bank cannot carry this thing. Only from the mother to child, and also from infected needles. Okay, na? Right? So next. So you written 70%, right? 80%, sorry, it is 80%. So 80% from the injected drug users, infected needles. So what to ensure? You tell me the solution. I give you the problem. You can, because for hepatitis B and C, because B means mother to child, so it can be controlled, right? How? Vaccinating mothers. So how can, first is all newborns mothers can be vaccinated, and also newborn kids can be vaccinated. So all newborns can be vaccinated. It is again the solution provided by the, see, this is all available in the newspaper. You don't have to actually bring it from any other government websites and all. It is there in the newspapers. Just write the observe, learn, make notes, write it in the examination paper. People will think that you are analyzing on your own. That means this is your language, but it is in fact it is not your language. It is the language of newspapers, and which you are writing in mains, and you're going to get good marks. I have not given a formal introduction of myself about my experience. I've been in this field. I mean, obviously, I've been preparing for civils from 2008-9 onwards. My last attempt was 2016, and I've been teaching from 2013. So almost like a decade now. It's very much important. You won't understand that almost 60 to 70% of your main syllabus is an offshoot of newspaper. And if at all you're reading newspapers, it'll take time initially. It'll take time initially. Even if it is like taking 2 hours, worth it. Why? Because your intellectual level is growing and your analytical abilities are growing. Facts are different. Ultimately, what you're trying to say that when you're writing answer, you have n number of content to present. And the content what you have is the mature content, which is certified valid content. You're not writing general answers. You're giving evidences. Evidence-based answers gain more. And also to say about my experience, for almost like 7-8 years, I've been the head of evaluation, working from some reputed institutions, recruiting the evaluators, training them as to how to evaluate. And I have trained hundreds of candidates to clear this exam. I'm a master in mains and prelims, so I understand UPSC. So it is necessary, it is mandatory for you. You won't understand its power now. When you actually let the time pass, probably do one month of newspaper article, read the article, make notes. Then you take up any monthly magazine, compare it with your knowledge and their knowledge. It will fall short. And UPSC is not that dumb enough to what is given in the coaching center material. Don't you think that they know that? Understand, they want learned people. Learned people means you gain knowledge and you should be in a position to apply it, articulate it, and analyze it. What I do is analysis, right? Don't read. Learn, understand, analyze, apply it. Where to apply, paper 1, 2, 3, 4, how to apply it in essay papers. That comes with practice, and that comes with intuition. That comes with knowledge which is stacked in your brain. If you are having knowledge, you can provide with n number of examples, right? Don't worry about the statistics. You should know about what trends, and have a situation like as to how it is. Bangalore pollution, right? You feel that irritation now. That's it. Okay. Shall we move forward? So what needs to be done first is vaccination. Yes or no? So this is for the children. What about adults? Adults should be given a shot. So my language is simple, but everything makes sense, right? So adults should be given a shot, and those who have not been immunized, for them give a shot of vaccine. Okay, like what we got during COVID time. Yes or no? So children, compulsory vaccination. Adult, those who are not immunized, give a shot. And those who have been diagnosed, put them on treatment. Simple. That's it. So those who are diagnosed with infection, put them on treatment. Okay, right? Now this is something we have. Now there are other operational problems. Operational problems as to why this hepatitis diagnosis is less, and even the detection rate is also less. Detection rate is also less. Detection rate of hepatitis B is 3%. Hepatitis C is 28%. Even the detection rate is less. What are those challenges we'll identify? Because ultimately, if you're addressing an answer as to critically analyze the status of hepatitis, viral hepatitis in India, we should talk about all these things, right? Why? Because if you say diagnosis is less, detection is less, and other some operational challenges are there. Which are those? We'll talk about one by one. First of all, see, we had this 2007 universal immunization program introduced by Government of India, and which also mentioned that hepatitis vaccination is a must for every kids, right? Despite almost having like 16 years, the coverage is only 41 to 62%. So what is lacking? Effective implementation is lacking. Are you able to understand? So what is the first challenge? ineffective implementation of government immunization program, which was even launched in 2017. Coverage is only between 41 to 62%. Yes or no? Right? And second, foremost important is that very murky guidelines of hepatitis treatment. See, there are certain guidelines and rules to be followed to treat the hepatitis by a specialist or a professional. The mere guidelines is going to make 7 to 8 out of 10 hepatitis patient ineligible for treatment. We don't have treat all or a process like HIV. HIV, irrespective of who's, everyone are treated, yes or no? But here it is conditional. That is a policy disaster. Or the guideline, that is not our guidelines, that is the guidelines actually which is given by the WHO, right? So there has to be, so are you able to understand the problem areas? First problem area is that ineffective coverage. Second area, very murky and confusing or like inaccessible guidelines. So again, the treatment for B should be done by specialists as according to the international guidelines. But this international guidance is stopping almost 70 to 80% of the patients from being diagnosed from the infection. So what is required? They don't have a treat all approach because the guidelines is hampering. So don't you think that we need to change the guidelines? Yes or no? Or make it all inclusive? We can make it, right? Next, it is not given as, it is one of the equivalent amount of people, almost 3.31 lakh people die in India every year due to hepatitis. But it is not taken seriously. Yes or no? Until this article, even we think that people who are having HIV or like TB diseases, they are the people who are going to die because of this disease. But from the hepatitis, no one would actually think about it, right? And when it comes to normal lifestyle diseases or other diseases, cardiac arrest. Yes or no? Next, cardiac arrest is first, second is TB related deaths, and this is also like third, hepatitis. So you should understand the trend. Okay, so and people not taking the complete course, that is one of the causes why the TB again recurs, because there is a course. Hepatitis B lifelong, hepatitis C 12 to 24 weeks, even they do not follow that regime. Despite the cost of vaccines, there are usually for hepatitis, for leprosy, HIV, it is given free of cost. Yes or no? Do you know that? In government hospitals, the diagnosis treatment is given free of cost. People are not aware of it. And it is also a responsibility of the hospital management and the district authorities to make sure they actually do a survey, make a list of all the people having hepatitis, then provide them with diagnosis. It's not happening because of the proper or ineffective implementation, right? And they do not receive nearly as much. And most important is that ignorance, or we have ignored hepatitis. We ignored what? Hepatitis. Why? Because people consider this as a disease and all, because they are not in a position to detect it and get the necessary treatment. And coverage is how much? TB coverage is 70%, but hepatitis B coverage is only 3%. Yes or no? And C is only 20%. So that is one of the problems. So what is the way forward? Effective implementation. See, we talk about the drug price, it is more than $60, hepatitis C in foreign countries. It is less than $1. It's $0.21 in India. And for hepatitis B, it is $0.09 in India, which is very, even for the paid patients. Problem is that it has not been effectively implemented, it has not been properly screened, monitored, and awareness is not created by the health ministry. Don't you think that? Yes or no? Right? So now we'll talk about what is viral hepatitis. 5 variants. What is the cause of infection? Contaminated food, water, blood, right? Okay. And what are the symptoms? Fever, abdominal pain, right? Jaundice, dark urine, and pale stools. So dark urine, jaundice-like situation. Pale stools, dark urine, fever, abdominal pain. Done. Next, short-term infections can lead to chronic liver. See, this hepatitis is going to ultimately, it is curable. But chronic, it can lead to chronic liver cirrhosis or or liver cancer. These are the chronic infections of hepatitis B. Done? Shall we move forward? Right? So now again, this is let us go to the information. See, India has the second highest burden of hepatitis B and C, over 3 crore and 50 lakh patients, right? 35 million, I told you, right? 3 crore 55 lakhs. That includes both B and C. Only B, 2.9 million, 29 million or 2.9 crores. So remain asymptomatic for years, and most of the transmission is between from the mother to child. Which is one? B or C? B, how much percent? 90%. C 70%. C is 80%, but C is treatable because which is having the short-term course medication? C, right? It can be easily treatable, right? And detection rate for the C is below 30, but B is 3%. That is one of the drawbacks. See, it is not organized. That is why I have given this information. Okay, but use this for the additional information. So, which is the agency? What is our program? National Viral Hepatitis Control Program. Okay, have you heard of this NAC? For AIDS prevention, NEAC, right? In the same way, we also have this National Viral Hepatitis Control Program. Objectives to eliminate hepatitis C by 2030 and reduce the morbidity and mortality associated with the hepatitis B. So our objectives are by 2030 completely eliminate C and reduce the mortality and morbidity rate of this B by certain percentage by 2030. Okay, na? So what is important? Medical facilities are there, should be there, right? We have healthcare deficits are there, and we also have this lack of awareness. Done? Okay. Done. That is the only information. Now, shall we move forward? These are all other simple current affairs. So, issue Nari Shakti lessons from Japan. See, women are also the equal contributors to a society. Yes or no? But their contribution is actually not monetized. Why? Whatever the contribution done by mothers, wives, sisters at home, it is a part of care, welfare, yes or no? But of late, we have also started identifying their contributions as a part of care economics. So, care economics means like they have developed countries. Have you heard of this gender ratio? Number of female to male, right? Sex ratio, heard of that? And India is having sex ratio of how much? Around 932, right? And Karnataka is 968, which is better. 932 is way less. We talk about any developed countries, the gender ratio is more. Women, see, that is an indicator as to how a society, how a state is supporting their women, right? So now the focus is on, we have taken one case study, that is Japan. In Japan, equal amount of importance is given for the women. Even if they're working, there are certain facilities are actually made for them to take care of their kids also. For example, crutch facilities are there, right? And something like, we don't give it in our country, paternity leave. We have maternity leave, right? Maternity leave means we have paid leave given to the mother, but we don't have a father leave. Paternity leave, it should be obviously given after the delivery, and we don't usually have the joint family system and the elders taking care of the kids, right? It has to be the husband if it is a nuclear family, or like if you're from the rural areas coming and working in the urban areas, you don't have anyone to take care of you, and your husband should be there with you to take care of it, right? So this is some of the things which we have to learn from the article is not having that much of information. But one thing is that what we need to move towards as a society, as a civilized nation, is that recognizing the contribution of women and making provisions for them to balance work as well as what? The family. Done? They talk about some sort of investment in care infrastructure. Are you able to understand what is care infrastructure? For example, any, as I said, crutch facilities should be there. There should be separate rooms for women feeding centers, and a certain amount of working hours should be given, and there should be like the institution should employ dadis or like nannies to take care of the kids of women employees when they're working here, right? Apart from that, some nutrition thing, Yes or no? So that is what is required. So lessons the India can learn from Japan is to realize what the ultimate potential of women, and we know that women are much more organized and stable than men. So when it comes to education and work, alva, gun work. And there was, I think, a couple of years all first top 6 out of top 10 rank UPSC only. How many are there in this year? Girls? Third rank? But out of top 10 this year we have less. But I think we have been seeing only the women toppers from the last 10 years. Right? So they, if given opportunity, they can shine better and ultimately they will contribute to the society or a nation, economically also. So for them, they need to realize their full potential. Who is to facilitate? The government should facilitate, the family should facilitate, so that they can shine career wise also and also take care of the family. It is not mandatory that the home, the house related chores or like work has to be done by the women only. Okay, so as a society, as a civilized society, what we can do, this is what is given. What is important, what is required? Long term public investment in care infrastructure and services is required, especially when it comes to child care, because many children, like, the woman has to stay down at home and not take care of her career. Yeah. I mean, he's not coming, pa. No one is coming. Mind if anyone call him, because I've been. Please call that lady, Gita or someone, and inform her that too much of reflection is happening. Shall we continue, or should I have to wait for your friend to come? Wait, that's justice. I mean, is this not working? This is working. I don't know, no one is there to come or what. Sorry for the interruption in between. Is this a live class or recorded one? Recorded. ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಇವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಾಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದೇರ್. ಐ ಬಿನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್, ಸಾರಿ. ಯಾರೂ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಫೈನ್. Right? So coming back, apart from the investment done by the corporates or the industries on setting up of infrastructure like children play area, like some bed for rest and crutch facilities, also we should also invest in what? The elder care, because these are the people who take care of kids at home, right? Or probably like, some schools other which are provide daycare facilities, right? Domestic work and long term care to reduce the dependency and access the silver economy. Who are the silver economy? Well, grey people, right? Next, 5 pillar strategy is proposed to unblock the business opportunities in India. First, focus on gender neutral and paternity leave policies. Yes or no? Paternity leave should be given to the fathers as well. Second is subsidies for the care services. Means, suppose if you are a mother, and some sort of subsidies should be provided in terms of access to probably healthcare facilities, or like nutritious food, or it can be like baby products. You can provide them, right? Okay. Next, investment in the care infrastructure. This is something like, okay, if you're writing mains answer, make sure that this sort of language is not going to get you marks. Make you provide substantiate with some sort of examples. Okay. So skill training for the care workers and quality assurance or care services and infrastructure. Done. Now next article, there are there is one volcanic mountain which is called as Mount Etna, which is situated in between the Mediterranean Sea. It's a part of, thank you. So it is an island situated in the southern tip of Italy, Sicily, called as, so one of the active volcanoes of the world, and it is actually living, what can I say, volcanic vortex. Have you seen people who actually leave their rings after smoking? or you have also witnessed the dolphin which can actually create a vortex. It is a similar sort of thing. So this is vortex is created means there is huge amount of water vapor, and the superheated water vapor are rising up in the form of clouds. But since the shape of the crater is spherical, so for the formation of this crater, two things are important. One is huge amount of water vapor has to be released, and the size of the crater. Okay, and this crater, this is the stratovolcano. Stratovolcano means, I'll explain about that, because this is how I integrate the conventional subject with the current affairs, right? So because the shape of the crater is purely circular, so it is, when it is ejected with some force, so this vortex is created. It appears, you watch the video, I've watched the video and it is really beautiful to watch. It as if like, the mountain is smoking and is actually leaving the vortex which is happening in the circular path. That is the only news, right? So what is important for you is that you need to understand what is the volcanic vortex rings. Volcanic vortex rings are the rings which are released by heated or the water vapor which is released from the volcanic mouth crater. Because of the shape of the crater is spherical and it has been suddenly ejected, right? It takes the shape of the vortex and it is nearly perfect, almost spherical, and it rises to a certain extent of in the air. Ultimately, it vanishes away. That is the only news, right? Done? Okay. So you need to know which is the mountain here. Mount Etna. Mount Etna is one of the most active volcanoes in the Mediterranean Sea. See, these are the important. We have here Mount Vesuvius. I'll write here Mount Vesuvius. This, can you see this region? So Mount Vesuvius. See, Mount Etna is here. Vulcan and Stromboli. So something like on this. Second is, so this is 2, 3, 4. 2 is Stromboli. Stromboli is called as the lighthouse of Mediterranean. Imagine, these are the 4 active volcanoes in the Italy, right? Third is your Vulcan, or so the term volcano is actually taken from this Vulcan. So volcanism or volcanism also we call, okay? And fourth is your Etna. Etna is the most beautiful, and this is a volcano which releases largest amount of vapors in the world. No other active volcano releases this much of water vapors in the form of superheated gases. It is actually not shown here, don't worry about that. Right, what sort of volcano is this? This is a stratovolcano. Stratovolcano means, can you see this layer? So suppose this is red color is lava, right? This lava is deposited on that ash, a layer of ash is also deposited, and it is in the form of what? Stratified layers. Are you able to see that? Hence it is called a stratovolcano. This stratovolcano is always associated with acidic lava. What sort of lava? Acidic lava. Acidic lava is highly viscous. Therefore, the shape like this, conical shape. See, basaltic lava is highly light. No, I should say like it is superheated. The temperature of basaltic lava is very much, it's more than 1000 degrees Celsius. Here it is temperature less, but it flows like water. Are you able to understand? Basaltic lava always flows like water. That is why it's going to form the larger landforms like Deccan Plateau. Example, Deccan Trap. Heard of that? Shield volcanoes. Any volcanic plateau is formed from the basaltic lava, which is darker in nature, right? But the temperature is more and it can travel for hundreds and thousands of kilometers, whereas the acidic lava is only confined next to the volcanic mountains. It forms a cone, right? Why? Because the lava is highly viscous. It can't be thrown, it can't travel longer distance, and viscous means it's like honey, thick, right? So can you see this layer which is actually formed? So they are called as the strato, right? Okay, stratified is structure is also there, and many times what happens, because of the plugging of this vent by the acidic, because once a volcano erupts, ultimately cools, the vent is plugged. After this solidified becomes rocks and is filled with water. Okay, so what happens next time when the volcano comes and this volcanic vent or the crater is filled with moisture, it creates huge loud noise, and every time the size of the crater, again it's going to fall, it keeps on increasing. Sometimes the volcano also erupts from the side of the volcano, because the mouth is actually plugged. Are you able to understand? So this is called as a vent, this is called as a mouth, right? This is called as a crater, and from the crater it is actually ring shaped structure. See, this sort of ring shaped structure releases. That is called as a vortex. Done. So have you heard of this? Which are the four active volcanoes in Italy or in Mediterranean Sea? That is Vesuvius, Stromboli, Vulcan, Etna. Done. You want to remember the marginal seas which are there in Mediterranean Sea? I'm going to give you a code if you want. All the marginal seas like Lakshadweep, Andaman Sea, Gulf of Thailand, that sort of thing. So in the entire, please remember, take it faster. Okay, it's not given entirely, but in the Mediterranean region, including the Black Sea, right? The code is simple. So how can you remember? Mediterranean Sea region. In the Mediterranean Sea, Mediterranean Sea is good for the environment is really good, and tropical crops, especially, it is famous for oranges, citrus fruits. It is famous for citrus fruits and also for wine making, right? So how can you remember the salt there? For Mediterranean, can you remember Italy or like which one? Italy, Greece? Okay, fine. People living in this Mediterranean region use a medicine. That medicine is made up of basalt, right? And they eat, the medicine is actually put in a bata shoe and they want to drink it. The code is called as basalti bata. Basalti, BA. See, remember this is small t. Okay? So basalti bata medicine. Easy to remember. So why? Because medicine means Mediterranean Sea, marginal seas. So basalti bata medicine. Right? And remember this last B T is small t because we don't have a T there. Why are you people not so excited? Tumba dull agidurappa. Why? What's happening? What is happening? I think your previous faculty is better than me. Okay, are you guys enjoying? Not enjoying? You responsibly. You're not at all giving any response. I'm becoming really conscious. Honestly, this is not how I teach. But basalti, but are you able to understand? Right? So imagine medicine basalt, you know what is basalt, right? And bata, bata shoes. Okay, imagine the bata, which is actually made up of this basalti medicine, and people are eating bata shoes. And are you able to remember? In the Mediterranean Sea. Easy? Easy? Write down. B for Balearic Sea. Balearic Sea here comes here. Balearic Sea. BALEARAC. Balearic Sea. BALEARAC. Okay. Next, in the entrance of Strait of Gibraltar, there is Alboran Sea. Alboran Sea. First is Balearic Sea. Balearic Sea. First is Balearic Sea. Second is Alboran Sea. Third, Sea of Marmara. Between Black Sea and Aegean Sea. Sea of Marmara. MAR. So we have this, heard of this Bosporus Strait, Dardanelles Strait. In between that we have Sea of Marmara. Yes, A is Adriatic Sea. Can you see this region, Adriatic Sea? Fourth, Adriatic Sea. Right? L means Ligurian Sea. This here it is going to come. Ligurian Sea. Ligurian Sea. L means Ligurian Sea. Basalt. T means, can you see this region? Tyrrhenian Sea. TYRR. T means TYRR HENIAN. Tyrrhenian Sea. I means Ionian Sea. Can you see this region? Ionian Sea here. Ionian Sea, Greece. Right? So there we have basalti is done. Basalti. I could have given basalti is bata, no. Or basalt, bati, bit. Basalti. Basalti bata is fine. Okay, easy to remember, I think. So B for Black Sea. Black Sea. It's not here. Here it comes interior. One of the saltiest sea in the world. A for Aegean Sea. AEGEAN. Aegean Sea. Which is not given here. Right? agency, and we don't have T. See, T is not there because that is why small t again. A, Azov, A-Z-O-V, Azov C. Easy to remember? Done? Last time, mugitu. So geography done. So moving on to the next article. So you know what? Which are the 4 active volcanoes in this? This is how you need to prepare for your conventional subjects as well. They may not ask you about which are the mountain. Okay, mountain because we know Etna is there, right? And please know about what sort of volcano is that. Okay, stratovolcano. See, in which island it is there? It is there in the coast of Sicily, right? Largest and one of the most active volcano, and have 5 craters. Means because of the eruption and because of the acidic nature of the lava, it also erupts from side. Okay, many subvents are also there. Okay, last mile transmission, a big hurdle for policy rate cuts. Do you know about this monetary policy? So there are 2 sort of policies in finance or like in money when it comes to economics. One is fiscal policy and second is monetary policy. Fiscal policy is handled by the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, right? Fiscal policy talks about the macroeconomic conditions in India, for example, like deciding on the taxation system or deciding the interest rates or handling inflation, okay, or maybe something related to the economic development like unemployment, right, addressing the unemployment, poverty. All these are a part of fiscal policy. So fiscal policy's focus is on economic growth, whereas the monetary policy focus is on the controlling and coordinating or like the managing the flow of money in the market. So money in the market control and flow is done by RBI, okay, and RBI prescribes certain rates always every year because ultimately in cases of like extreme scenario, what happens if suppose if they don't regulate the bank people that this is a minimum, ultimately it is called earlier it is called as a base rate. So base rate is something like this is the minimum interest rate below which you cannot supposed to lend to the people. Otherwise there will be competition lending, right, for less interest and all. That is not going to be fiscally prudent. And it was later on like from this MCLR it went, and from then it is like we have different rates are there. So how this monetary policy is carried on? The monetary policy is carried on using some of the tools like a repo rate, reverse repo rate. We have a reserve requirement. Reserve requirement is actually given in the form of CRR and SLR. CRR means cash reserve ratio and SLR means statutory liquidity ratio. What is CRR? Cash reserve ratio. What does that mean? Economics. See, current affairs through economics through current affairs. CRR means it is the certain percentage of your total deposits, right? You have to keep in the form of cash or cash equivalent. That is the name cash. With whom? With the RBI. Who? The bank. I am a bank, SBI or Indian Bank or any bank. Of my total transaction, this percentage I have to keep with RBI in case of any contingency. I should have some bank cash, right? Or cash equivalent. Presently it is, last year it was 5.6%, it was 6.5% of your total deposits. That is cash reserve ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio is around 18%, which the bank has to keep in the form of not cash, in the form of gold, in the form of securities, and this is your 18% of your net time and demand liabilities. Net demand, what is time and demand liabilities? FD is a time liability. That means after a certain period you are supposed to pay them back. That's a liability on the bank, right? Yes or no? Interest rate, that's a liability. So 18% of that you have to keep with yourself, not with the bank, not with the RBI. But that has to be kept in non-cash format. Understood? So that is your reserve. Next is repo rate and reverse repo rate. Repo rate means other name is also called as repurchasing option. What is the meaning of this? I am a bank, your RBI, I have come to you, I want to take some loan, right? So does the RBI provide loan? Definitely they'll provide because they are the banker of banks, right? For that, a bank has to pledge something, securities, dated securities, with a repurchasing option that at a predetermined date, at a predetermined rate, I'm going to repurchase this. Until then, give me some money. So I'm going to have, for example, suppose we take loan, we use pledge or LIC bonds. That is going to have some certain face value based on which certain loan is given. Yes or no? Valuation is done like that only. Same way. Repo rate is for the interest rate the banks should pay to the RBI for taking loan. Right? Are you able to understand? Sorry, repo rate is 6.5%. CRR is actually 4.5%. Sorry, I just confused. Repo rate is, last year it was 5.6, now it is like 6.5%. So that means the RBI is lending at higher rate. But whereas the reverse repo means what? Sometimes in case of crisis, what happens? RBI goes to the bank and say that, please lend me money and you can take my government securities as pledge. So after at a particular date, I'm going to repurchase it. But the rate for that is 3.35%. So the banks can only lend the RBI at lesser interest. Are you able to understand? So repo rate, reverse repo, CLR, right? SLR, done. And we have other things. Let us not worry about that. Here, the monetary policy transmission and lending rate determination means the process through, what is the transmission? Through process through which the changes in the repo rate impact the broad, this is obvious impact. Why? Because more the interest, less is the money available to the banks, less is lending. So less of the economic activities. When they are going to cut the repo rate only, they will be having more access. Why? Because if I want to take money and someone is offering me like 5% interest and someone is offering me 3% interest, where I would go and take loan? 3%, because I am getting extra 2%. Right? That is saved for me, which I can again start giving for the other people, for businesses, and through which economic there is going to be liquidity flow. Are you able to understand? So the rate, policy rate cost is definitely having impact on the economy. That is what the article talks about. Done? Okay, fine. So previously Indian banks used what? Internal benchmarks. So we had like base mark. As I said, base rate. What is base rate? Earlier, the rate below, one rate is fixed by RBI, below which you cannot lend to your customers. Right? Next is your MCLR. That is marginal cost of lending rate, which includes base rate plus your operation cost. So suppose if it is like 3.5% is determined by the RBI. Obviously you can't go beyond, example I'm saying, 3.5 or 4.5. So above that, the banks can decide their own, which may be more than this, definitely not less than this. But that includes my base rate plus my operation cost, recovery cost, etc., etc. It can be like probably 5.5. Right? That is a marginal cost of my lending rate. I'm not actually having too much of thing. Done? So this was, earlier benchmark was base rate and MCLR. Now we have actually shifted from this, which was internal. We have gone to the external. We'll continue. Now what is MCLR? Is a minimum lending rate below which the bank is not permitted. That is fixed by the banking system, their own bank. Now for example, SBI is a chain. Yes or no? Chain of banks, group of public sector banks, ICICI Bank. They'll prescribe every center of ICICI should not give loan less than this. Right? That is the minimum lending rate below which you are not supposed to do. Base rate is below, that is fixed by RBI. This is fixed by the banks themselves. Done? So these internal benchmarks were criticized for lack of transparency. Right? Now, why? Because it is set by the bank itself. And they were criticized. Why? There was no transparency, not effective transmitting changes in the central bank's repo rate to lending rates. Okay. Therefore, RBI introduced what? External benchmarking. So external, now the internal benchmarking is gone. Now external benchmarking means now we have external benchmarking lending rate, EBLR. What do we have? EBLR, external benchmarking lending rate. Now earlier it was internal benchmarking lending rate. Now it is external benchmarking lending rate. Are you able to understand? That is the only news. Right? So under this, what are you going to do? So under the external benchmarking, interest rates like repo are used to determine the lending rates for bank. Yes or no? Ultimately, the rate at which I am lending to you, I am giving you at the particular rate, right? If I am giving you at 5.5%, you are not supposed to lend at 8.8% or 9%. Maybe 2% more, 6.5 or 7%. So now what is going to determine your lending rate? My repo rate. Are you able to understand? Got it? This is the only news. Ishte news. Okay, mundugona. Right? So reasons for the limited monetary policy transmission, because 40% of the system credit is not linked to the repo rate. I told you, right? Repo rate is usually less. That is why they increase the repo. Are you able to understand? Repo was once actually very less, 4% yearly. They increased it to 6.5%. Why? Because this is what the banks are doing, and that has led to the bank indiscriminate lending and bank failure. We have seen that in many cases, right? Thousands of crores, Punjab National Bank. You see that, na? Right? So loans linked to the marginal cost of lending based lending rate are lagging the rate hikes. Why? Because your loans, I mean your cost, you have marginal cost rate. Earlier it was there, MCLR. Now they are lagging behind, lagging the rate hikes. Sorry, what is this? Therefore, the MCLR depends on the cost of deposits. So you're not talking about the repo rate. They're depending on the cost of how much the deposit is actually happening, how much is our operational cost. Ultimately, the banks will have some sort of edge. Therefore, in order to reduce that, RBI has actually come up with the external benchmark lending rate. Okay, which is the guiding force here. On what basis it is actually taken? See, earlier MCLR was actually fixed based on the base rate. EBLR is fixed on the repo rate. So on the rate at which the RBI lends to the bank, that becomes a deciding factor. From this, how much percent more? 2% or 2.5%. That should be your EBLR. Done? Continue. Right? So the retail and the small business loans are linked to the external benchmarks, and cooperative loans are still on the MCLR. Done? Cooperative loans are still on the MCLR. Right? So next article. Buddhism should be treated as a separate religion. Hindus must seek approval to convert. Right? There are issues related to this. Is belong to paper 1, society, Indian society, and something, religion may not have actually been prescribed in your syllabus, but it is part of culture. Your aesthetic beliefs or your religious beliefs is a part of your culture, and the news is only this much, right? People usually, have you heard of this Article 25? Article 25 talks about right to freedom of religion, right? So Article 25 clause 2 talks about that there are certain religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism and Jainism, which are considered to be part of Hinduism. Because they are born out of Hinduism, so they are considered to be a part of Hinduism only. Contrary to this belief or contrary to this narration, Gujarat High Court has actually said that people who are converting, we have seen, now what is the context? Large number of Dalits in Gujarat are being converted into Buddhism. And there is certain procedure you have to follow while being converted. The same thing goes for adoption also. Recently, one social media sensation was arrested because she adopted one girl without proper procedure. So ultimately, she has to eat jail mudde. Right? So there are procedures, there are certain rules and regulations we need to follow. People are getting converted without following certain rules. Therefore, the Honorable High Court of Gujarat have actually came up with a circular giving directions to the government. And see, High Court, Supreme Court circular or the orders should be followed, not even the government, because that is apex. That is most important. Saying that you want to convert, take the permission of the DM. DM is who? District Magistrate or DC, IAS officer, people like you, right? You're all prospective officers. Yes or no? You're all prospective officers. Do you believe that or not? Do you believe that or not? You should believe. Ultimately, you are the person who have to find solution to your own problem, and you are the one who are aspiring to become. You should have that faith. Feel that you are half officers. Done. So they have to get permission from the district collector or the district magistrate, and ultimately the power to decide as to whether to grant permission or not lies with DC. Okay, that is the only news. Simple as that. Easy to understand, right? Conversion from Buddhism to Hinduism to Buddhism requires permission of whom? District magistrate or district collector, right? And once it has been given, see what is happening. There are certain organizations or agencies are also coming and they are applying en masse, and that should not be done. Therefore, it has to go through proper procedure and through proper scrutiny, right? So ultimately, this power to decide on whether these candidates should be given those who applied for conversion, given or not, or is there any hidden agenda, is to be decided by the DM, and it is by the court of, it is by the direction of the court, and it is also having one statutory provision, that is Gujarat Freedom of Religious Act 2021, right, to prohibit forcible. So therefore, if your organization submit, then it has to be duly verified. Why? Because it happens, right? Some people are like lured for this is, they probably would not have been aware of this. In certain, especially the tribal hamlets and the lower section of the Hindu population, have been lured to get converted. Okay. So Buddhism, you know, founder of Buddhism, Gautam Buddha, 600 BC, right? And teachings. Have you heard of this, the Noble Paths? You want me to give another code for story for this Eightfold Path and Four Noble Truths? Buddhism. Yep, Buddhism is a part of your culture. Buddhism is a part of your art and culture. So there are four noble truths. There is a reason why this has been given, right? So we have, Hinayana, Mahayana, Theravada, Vajrayana schools. These are the schools of Buddhism, right? Four noble truths are also called as Arya Satyas. What are those? Four noble truths. What are they called as? Arya Satyas. Arya Satyas means what? First, Dukkha. Dukkha means, you can write down, right? Dukkha. Okay. Four noble truths. Also called as what? Arya Satyas. What Buddha says. First, Dukkha. Dukkha means the world is full of suffering. He says that world is full of suffering. There is suffering. Undeniable fact is that there is suffering in the world. Yes or no? That is first, Dukkha. Dukkha means what? There is suffering in the world. Second, Samudaya. Samudaya. Right? Samudaya means for every dukkha, there is a cause of suffering. Second means, what is Samudaya means? Cause of suffering. Third, Nirodha. That is, these are the Sanskrit words, but you need to know. Nirodha. Nirodha means there is cessation of suffering, means suffering can be removed. There is a way to remove suffering. Easy to understand? Yes or no? Fourth, how? Marga. Fourth is Marga. That is, there is a way to eradicate suffering. Completely eradicate, not reduce. There is a way to eradicate suffering. Okay? That is called as Marga. These are the four noble truths. Okay? Focus. So Buddha says that the world is full of suffering. This is an invariable fact. Right? And the suffering is there because suffering is called as dukkha. This suffering is there because there is a cause of suffering. That suffering, cause of suffering is attachment. Attachment to emotions or material things, to people or to everything. That is a cause of suffering. Third, there is possibility that suffering can be removed. There is possibility that we can be removing this, you can remove this suffering. How? By following Ashtangika Marga. That Marga means what? Ashtangika Marga, also known as Eightfold Path. Eightfold Path, right? I'm going to give you one code, easy to remember. Okay? Now imagine, look at me. I'm Buddha. Imagine. I'm Buddha, you want to convert into Buddhism, right? You ask me, I want to join Buddhism. I say, it requires visa. Yes or no? Right? It requires visa. You say, I have visa. I'll say, visa, let's see. The code is visa, let's see, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Visa, let's see. Because they are actually there in the chronological order. Let's see. So you have asked Gautam Buddha to give Buddhism, grant Buddhism. He said, visa is required. So you don't have visa. Let's see. Visa, let's see. What is the code? I want you to repeat. Visa, let's see. Visa, let's see. Now, everything before the starting of every word, right is there. First, right view. Right view called as Samyak Drushti. See, these are the Sanskrit word. Samyak Drushti. You should have the right view about the knowledge. If you don't have the right view, how can you get it? Because as long as you don't get the correct picture, you're not going to be free from the ignorance. So first is right view, also known as samyak drushti. Ella in front of everything like right view, right knowledge. Yes or no? The same thing. Samyak drushti, samyak vak, samyak all these things will be there. Second is I. Samyak right intention. Right intention. Okay. So you should have right intention. You can apply this for your UPSC preparation also, correct? You should have proper vision first of all. Whether I'll be able to, you definitely are able to do that. For that, you should have a roadmap. For that, you should have right intention, also known as right aspirations. Right aspirations, it has to be genuine aspiration. Called as samyak sankalpa. Samkalpa. Yes or no? Resolve. Also known as right resolve. It is given differently. See, right resolve, right intention. Once you know intention, you know it is aspiration, and also right resolve. Resolve means what? Sankalpa. Next, what is that? Yes. Right. Speech. Samyak vak. V-A-K. Vak. Means you should always speak right. You should not speak lies. Lies you should not speak. You should not speak, utter bad words. You should not curse others. Samyak vak. Or right. Okay. Next. Right action or conduct. Samyak karmanta means right deeds. Only right thoughts are not going to make you good. By only conceiving that I have to study and doesn't make. You have to put credible actions. Right action or conduct called as karmanta. Samyak karmanta. Okay. What is next? L. Livelihood. Right livelihood. Right livelihood. So livelihood we can say it as ajiva. Samyak ajiva. In philosophy, this dirghas will be like this. Ajiva. Sha like this. Dot. As. Something like that. These are some symbols used. So next is L is what? Livelihood. E means effort. Right effort. Effort is done through samyak vyayama. Right effort. Okay, right effort. Okay. T, thought or mindfulness. Right thought or mindfulness. Samyak smriti. Samyak smriti. And last is C. What is required for you to learn anything? C. Concentration. Right concentration. Right concentration means samyak samadhi. So samadhi does not mean that you have to lie in the state of still. Means undeterred. Your concentration should be like it has been said that during Buddha's meditation, even when the snake comes and he's not aware of it, he's completely focused on something. Done. So now you know 4 noble truths, Arya Satyas and Ashtangika Marga. Okay, what is the code for Ashtangika Marga? These are, let's see, now look at the board and you only tell. First is, but you should add right in front of every word. Look at the board, don't look at your thing, your notes. First is, first one, everyone together. Right? Right? Second pa. Right? Intention, also as right resolve. Third, right speech. Fourth, right action. Right effort. E. Right means E means effort. T means right thought, also mindfulness. And C means concentration. Okay. Samyak drishti. Samyak sankalp. Samyak vak. Samyak action is karmanta. Samyak ajiva. Samyak vyayama. Samyak smriti. Samyak samadhi. Done? Easy? Shall we move forward? Done? Okay. So now you know something about Buddhism. And you also are aware of what is happening, right, in the nation, and especially the Gujarat Religious Act, Freedoms Act of 2021. Okay, important article talks about the data for better education and brighter future of ACER report. ACER report. ACER is important because annual status of education report. We have discussed about a ILO report about the unemployment status in India. This is having the roots. Because unemployment status, we may be graduate, but you're not having functional literacy. ACER report 2024 talks about, right? See, people, 26% of the students between the age group of 14 to 18 cannot read class 2 language books. What sort of literacy is that? 14 to 18 means high school to, it's not up to 12th, right? This is the state of India. Are you able to understand? Status of education report. What is the ACER full form? What is the full form of ACER? Annual status of education report. So what does it say? 26% of the students between 14 to 18 years cannot read class 2 language textbooks. Okay? Then coming back to again, legacy means in 2018, 32% of 7th standard and 27% of the 8th standard cannot even read at that level in their own class. Then same 2nd standard level. You are not in the position to read 2nd standard books, means even the English and even vernacular language. What is the point of education? That means you have spent almost 6-7 years after your 2nd standard, right? What are you studying then? That gives us the status of education in India, right? So first understand, learning abilities less, language identification less, reading, first of all, reading abilities is not there. Second, even with the lack of reading abilities, attendance is also poor, especially in rural areas. So third point is 60%. See, rural secondary grades means 9th and 10th have low attendance. National Sample Survey Organizations, 75th Roy, 2017-18, they say that 60% attendance. So there is also lack of attendance, right? How it third, next is lack of availability of quality textbooks. This is fact. These are facts. And suppose if you have been asked a question in front of the inter board members about the status of education in India, you need to talk about these facts because these are not your facts. These are the ACER report findings. And ultimately, they don't want you to only give facts and not give solutions. Also develop solution as to how we can address this. That is why you have been recruited to understand this process. Okay? So, how much of the ACER material, what is the cause of this sort of lack of, see, one is attendance is not there, materials are not being given, good teachers are not there. Simple as that. Otherwise, kids can learn, depends on the teacher. And how, even corruption in the recruitment also, everything matters. Right? So, poor availability of the reading material, only few rural households have reading material beyond the textbooks, otherwise they don't have it. Next, aspiration for education is more in women or girls than in boys. Boys, no aspiration for education, for higher education. See, for 65% of the girls want to go for college, boys only 59%. And for boys, going to college is because you have to wear color dress and gotalva. Right? So next is, apart from this, if at all they've been asked, what are you going to do in the future? No idea. Poor work aspirations. One is, I haven't thought about work. I'm enjoying school life. I don't know what I will do in future. My childhood dream was to become a pilot. I don't know what was that. Later on it got changed to doctor and all. In fact, I got medical seat also, but my parents could not afford. My medical rank was around 3000 something, 3009. I did not write mathematics because then we had CET and I hated engineering. My father till now curses me for not going for. Then I did BSc computers, then I joined police department. I was in police for almost 14 years. I resigned in 2016. So I'm not privileged as you are. I used to do night shifts and study in the daytime, go to library. I started preparation 8 years after my graduation. So I was not like, my condition was not like yours. So if you're given opportunities, make use of it. Done? Whatever you need, we are here to facilitate. But we are here to, as I said, everything we can show. But right effort has to come from your side. Samyak Karmanta and Samyak Vyayama should be from your side. Done? Okay? So what is the way forward? Therefore, we've been providing them with internet facilities. We've been providing with the tablets. What is the point of you giving smartphones? Not going to be, I know where it is going to be utilized. they're going to download what Instagram and waste of time. Right? But most important, this is something which can be tangible, that you can collaborate with the edtech agencies, industries. Ultimately, we can also facilitate the people from the urban areas or the tech companies come and teach the students. Occasionally, we can have that, right? And rigorous data collection, always data collection is a thing, can highlight problems and provide actionable insights. Community libraries, yes, this can also. Practice important. Making the students sit and study and making the subject interesting is in the hands of a teacher. We should focus on training teachers and providing necessary materials, and also focusing on audio video learning that can even enhance their understanding, right? Okay, fine. So next, the blurry lines between wildlife capture and rescue. What is the difference between capture and rescue? What is the difference between capture and rescue? Rescue is something like, for example, a snake comes to my home. Some of my neighbors and all, they'll come and they'll do some alabalas, and either they're going to kill the snake or capture it, right? But in the time of capturing, it might also incur some sort of injuries and all, and the animal can also bite someone. Probably a leopard. We have seen how many times a leopard have ventured into the human habitat, and also elephants venture into the human habitat. So this creates a conflict, and ultimately the animal is under severe stress and panic. So it can damage itself, or it can also hurt someone else. Capture happens this, right? But rescue means there is a dedicated force or a personnel who are involved in rescuing. We have seen recently that there was one elephant which actually fell into the ditch, a baby elephant, and the mother was actually trying to fit, but now the mother could not come up. People cannot lift it up. We require a team, right? So the article talks about that, not much of important in terms of prelims point of view, but from mains point of view, what is important is that people need to be educated as to how to, one is people need to be educated. For example, have you heard of this Rushikulia hatcheries? Have you heard of this Ranganthittu? Ranganthittu is it is not a wildlife, a bird sanctuary. It is actually conservation effort is done by the people of that village, right? Not Ranganthittu. Kokkarevelloor, sorry, not Ranganthittu, Kokkarevelloor. Kokkarevelloor is a village which is actually, people of that village actually ensure that the conservation of these birds, stocks, are actually taken care of. The same thing in people in that living in the coast of Odisha, they'll make sure that they will not allow any tourist or people to actually go into that region, and ensure that the turtles which are coming in the Bay of Bengal and hatching there, coming for the nesting, they have been given suitable conditions and also help in hatching of hatchlings, right? So that is something people are taking care of. Now they are taking care of the wildlife conservation. But here the article focuses upon what? Wildlife, when they venture into the human habitats, how it had to be handled, how it needs to be handled, right? So capture is something, but rescue requires expertise. Rescue requires expertise, rescue requires education, not only with respect to the officials, but also with respect to the people living in the peripheral region, right? So successful capture operations require expertise and often involve animals in conflict scenario. So why capture is not a viable option? Because injury can happen both on the human side as well as on the animal side, right? Ignoring expert advice can often lead to unsuccessful outcomes and also animal deaths, right? So rescue operations can cause trauma, injuries and stress to the animals, and ultimately compromising the survival. Therefore, what is important? We need to provide sufficient training to this rescue team. Done? Shall we move on? Shall we move on? Shall we move on? Yes. Okay, so Karnataka Forest Department example approach, proactive mitigation strategy, like we have this early warning system if a animal is entering, but it's all about like properly educating the people living in that peripheral region, right? To avoid the man-animal conflict, right? And especially those people who are going to Sundarbans, they will ask to wear the masks which in the back of the head, because tigers usually come and attack from behind. Okay, so if you are wearing masks, that is one of the mitigation measures. And ultimately, like people who are handling bees, they know they don't actually panic, and also bees can detect that sort of thing. And people living in African forest, They know how to handle cheetahs, and especially the tribal people, like out of this Bushmen, African Bushmen. They know how to handle if a cheetah or a hyena attacks without even causing any harm to that sort of mechanisms. Done? Okay, next, Asian Age. So Asian Age, as I said, it is again the initiatives of the USA and Japan, right, in the Pacific Ocean, right? Have you heard of this Quad? Quad, QUAD, Quad. Quad is an initiative. Quad means four: India, USA, India, Japan, Australia. So ultimately, this is a cooperation between four countries to ensure maritime security and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Actual objective is to make sure that we should target the China, or to make sure that we keep a check on the growing influence of China. Yes or no? And Japan, you know the history of Japan after Second World War. They've been prohibited from having a standing army, right, from the US. And now US is trying to empower, or like sending a 4-star general army, or 4-star level general into the Japan, to empower the military in the wake of rising threats coming from China, right? Have you heard of this China and Taiwanese standoff, right? China is on Philippines dispute. India sold BrahMos missile to Philippines, right? China is trying to support Maldives, and it has already done it in the Sri Lanka and the Nepal region. When it comes to geopolitics, you need to make sure that your neighbor, you have a check on your neighbor, right? So USA is leading this front, making sure that the military of Japan, which is the immediate neighbor of China, is having sufficient military equipments, and we're going to have a strategic military might, ultimately to counter in case of any threat coming from the China. Objective is not to create some sort of a regional tension, but this would, yes sir, time idella, okay sir, thank you. What happened? ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬೈಕಲ್ಲ ಬಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ರಪ್ಪ. ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಬಿದ್ದಿದ್ವಿ 2 ಸರಿ. So with your permission, can I have it? So you understand, right? So in this block, India is not there, but China is apprehensive that India will join. India will join probably. India is going to join this thing ultimately. See, geopolitics is not complicated, it's really simple. There is no permanent friend, there are no permanent enemies. USA was a traditional enemy of India as long as it was actually carrying on with even the Kashmir issues also. They always supported Pakistan, right? And during the 1971 war, it even sent its 12th fleet. Russia actually countered that and supported India. As Indian might grew, as economic power grew, they knew that India is going to be a very important ally in the South Asian region, because China, which was China is having the largest trade with America, and largest Chinese companies have invested in US. But China is actually growing in might and trying to challenge the hegemony of USA. So USA always wants to make sure that no one comes to my level. So to counter Russia, you know it, right? What happened after 1945 Cold War, right? So USA and allies created NATO, they created Warsaw Pact, and in Afghanistan, USA supported Taliban to counter Russian invasion. USA did that. They always supported, funded Pakistan really well. Why? Because they wanted to have a check on India, right? Now China is growing, therefore they're turning towards India. Are you able to understand? So now empower India, have a good contact with India, will have good. Now US has turned out to be the largest trading partner. Earlier it was $104 billion is having the we and China are having mutual trade, bilateral trade. But now US has come as $118 billion. Are you able to understand? So India is required to check on China. Pakistan is required to check on India. Afghanistan is required to check on Pakistan and also Central Asia. This is geopolitics, how it is. And now, when it comes to South China Sea, to contain China from the eastern part, Japan is required. From the southern part, Australia is required. Philippines, therefore, we are going to support Philippines. So they had a visit in Manila, right? And you know what is going to happen. Okay. So summit signals a Japan shift from the passive. So from the Second World War, it was always passive. Now it is getting into the potential, becoming the military powerhouse in Asia. Okay. Ultimate what? Integrating. See, we are going to have a joint command center. It is something like China is saying that we are creating a mini NATO. NATO was like military organization, right? So we are going to, for them they say we are going to have a joint military command. In case of any Chinese aggression, we are here to support our allies. That is what they are saying, right? So Japan agreed to integrate military command structure with US and Australia, right? To boost the defense capabilities. India is yet to join. India might join. You never know. Depends on what China might or might not do, right? So aims to deter the Chinese military coercion and uphold the rules-based Indo-Pacific, especially with their conflict with the Taiwanese, right? And what is the pledge of Japan? China always says that South China Sea is named after the China, says the entire South China Sea is mine. But you must be knowing about this in clause, right? So now we have this open convention laws on open seas that up to 200 nautical, you have some territorial waters, exclusive economic zones, then, right? After which it is also other countries. You cannot claim right on everything. China does the same thing, and they are actually not recognizing the maritime rights of Philippines and even Vietnam and all those other countries. So China is now becoming good friends with Philippines. Why? Because Dushman ka Dushman dost. Same thing with Pakistan, they are doing the same thing. Pakistan gets only amount, right? So Japan pledged to defend the Philippines territorial waters in South China Sea. And Yoshio, who is that? Prime Minister of Japan. Kishida and Biden discussed economic cooperation with Manila as an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. What is the alternative to Belt and Road Initiative? India's have one more thing. I think it is Amir. India is trying to connect with Central Asia using Kandla port, right? Using the Nhava Sheva port, connecting to the Red Sea, passing through Bab el Mandeb, right? And going through Suez Canal. That is one road. And second is from Iran. It is going to Central Asia, right? So that is an alternative of India's. I think it is something India, Europe. I'll get back to you in the next class probably. I'll try to find out. Okay. So China's reaction that India wants against the bloc politics and formation of mini NATO in Asia, right? So they also hosted the Russian and the Taiwanese leaders and leaders from Vietnam to bolster regional ties. So now they are trying to be friendly with these people with whom they had conflicts, right? And Russia is always a supporter of China because Russia is an opponent of USA. India maintains a balanced stand between Russia and US because for us, like, we have assertive international politics. We don't do actually, US is also important, Russia is also important. Russia has actually supported us from ages. Even the same thing goes to Israel and France. We'll never leave these traditional partners, but at the same time, we also have to move towards the new partners like USA. But we are trying to balance. We'll never take a stand, whether like what is correct in Israel and Hamas conflict. But we have said that human life should not be lost. Same thing between Russia and Ukraine. We never criticized what Russia is doing because they are partners, right? So way ahead is that India-US confrontation in Asia has a global implication. So US-China, right? So India's partnership with the US and the broader stand of its China can give it a role in Asian affairs, correct? And speculation arises the Delhi about Chinese efforts to prevent Indo. They are trying to do. USA wants India to be a part of it. We have not reached an agreement. China is trying to do everything to stop it, right? But ultimately, restoring peace on the Indo-China border is crucial before considering the political reset. If China does something, India also will react. What is that act? What is that law? For every action, same thing. Shall we move forward? So reforms needed in the voting process. Have you heard of this VVPAT? Voted? How many of you are not voted? Show me. You've been staying here, you don't want to go back to your home and vote. But I know you're not voted, huh? All of you not voted. Why? Because you're all from other districts. How many from Bengaluru? Huh? Second phase, okay, fine. But first phase, what about you people? Why didn't you vote? There is a concept of postal vote is also. Postal ballot is also there. You need to go and visit. These things will also be counted in your PT. You have not voted, being a responsible citizen of this nation. That is not expected of you. You have to exercise your vote. I can understand you cannot be there physically, but you can also apply for postal ballot. And there was off yesterday, right? Could have gone. I suppose you're all from Karnataka? Achha, but same phase or different date? Different date. Next month. Please exercise your franchise. Please vote. Right? So the article is simple. There is an argument between EVM for EVM and against EVM. So the people are saying that EVMs can be even easily hacked, this and all. EVM cannot be hacked because it's not connected to any internet. They say that EVM calculation is not correct. So therefore, let us be for that as an answer to that, they have introduced VVPAT. That is voter verifiable paper audit trail. Means suppose you click on something button, you get a confirmation in the box that this you have voted to this thing, and it gives. So the voter can see the paper has come. Opposition is also saying something. No, we know. Okay, fine. During the time we can see the same thing, but while counting, you're not only counting the EVM machine thing. You're not counting this. We have also done sample thing. We cannot count it for entire EVMs, entire VVPAT, right? They have counted, and every time it has actually come accurately. There is no discrepancies, but apprehensions should be addressed. These are the apprehensions. What needs to be done? The article is all about that. Done. So article say that we are only taking the sample of few random, and they say that the option is given to opposition. You pick whichever EVMs. Whichever EVMs you pick, it is going to be calculated in front of you. But we cannot do it for everything. But they say it should be done for every. Again, it will go back to the same old days of calculating. EVM were introduced to make sure that the paper usage is reduced. Ultimately, it is again used. And if it is used for everything, calculating, it will take much time. That's it. Nothing more. So VVPAT, as I said, Supreme Court, there is also a published interest litigation filed in Supreme Court against this VVPAT and EVM, and citing the examples that there are developed countries like Germany and all, we have actually left this EVM practices and they are actually went back to the paper ballot. Your opinion about this? I'm asking you people. Should we go back to the paper ballot or EVM is okay? EVM is okay. What about the apprehension? How can we address this? These are the sort of questions you're going to face. See, obviously, removing the apprehensions are very much important, and that is a sign of a democratic nation. Okay, what can be done? 100%, or maybe we can come up with a mechanism which can automatically count the VVPAT. We can do that, right? Instead of humans doing that, we can also have mechanisms or machines which can calculate that, and we can easily segregate. But there are also other problems, because many times you've seen that in the booth level, the counting of EVMs, there was like certain people are targeted and they said that you did not vote for us. The political parties have actually threatened and did some wrong also. Those are some drawbacks, and positives are also there. What are the benefits? See, benefits of EVM. Simple as that. First of all, faster voting. Ultimately, earlier, old people used to, like my grandmother was there, and we used to ask, I never used to ask, someone used to ask, like my mother or someone, whom did you vote? Everyone came and asked me, so I voted for everyone. That becomes an invalid vote. So that invalid vote count is completely addressed. Yes or no? Second, eco-friendly paper, reducing paper, eco-friendly. Third is fast process. Administrative convenience is there. Less dependence on the human resource for counting purpose and all, and less discrepancy. And most importantly, random allocation of, see, there is random allocation mock polls. They're also conducted before the polling also. The candidates from every party, they'll be shown, given a display. I was in police. I've attended a number of these things. And they'll be actually giving us a demo, and after the approval only, it was actually that EVMs are agreed for that booth. So and you know that when you go to any polling booth, people from different parties will be there. Yes or no? Nonsense. So EVMs are also standalone devices not susceptible to external hacks. Why? Because standalone device, they're not connected to internet, so it cannot be hacked. And some people say that it can be hacked remotely, this, that and all. I don't know what scientific basis they have, right? So doubts persist even about the EVM susceptibility to hacking among the political partisans, activists. How? Don't know, right? But the apprehension is there, right? Current sample size we have a sample size for matching the EVM count and the VVPAT slip is scientifically robust, but it is not applicable. You're not counting entire VVPATs. That is one of the apprehension. And booth-wise polling behavior identification. See, this raises the concern about the profiling and intimidation. You're going to profile certain people and say that you're going to intimidate them. Done? That is one of the causes. So what is the measures to be done? 100% use of VVPAT, maybe. But that has to be done with a scientific mechanism or a decoding machine which can do its own rather than including people. And if error occurs, VVPAT slips for the entire region should be recounted for accuracy. Correct? Yes or no? Or maybe revoting to be done. Totalizer machines. We have already discussed, right? We can have a totalizer machines which can ultimately count the VVPAT and segregate automatically. Okay? So next article. This is our arguments which are against the VVPAT, that certain democracies like France, Netherlands, USA have discontinued EVM. We can have this argument, right? So in Germany, the Supreme Court declared the use of EVM in election is unconstitutional. Supreme Court observation in Germany, right? So this is what the example they're giving opposition parties. So Brazil is among the countries that continued, but we need to talk about the population of India vis-a-vis Germany. Germany is a small country. It can be done, paper ballot, but look at the population of India. Too much, right? So among even the neighbors are also not using it. Okay, this is some of the arguments against the EVMs. But advantage means in the Subramania Swamy versus Selection Commission of India, Supreme Court mandated a paper trial for ensuring free and fair elections. Paper trial means what? VVPAT. Okay, next, continue on. So issues. India seriously concerned over Iran-Israel hostilities. Simple as that. Iran, Israel and Iran. You know what has happened? Started with Hamas. Mind if I sit? So this all ordeal started when Hamas, which is a terrorist organization operating in Gaza, launched the rocket. Oh, yeah, the time is up. 5 o'clock. 5 minutes. So launch. I think the other things which are snippets you can look into it. These are the main things we have covered. Launch rockets. Launch on Israel and also entered into Israel territory and abducted people. So from then onwards, Israel wanted to make sure that this Hamas is uprooted, and they had been on a complete offensive in Israel. Okay, they completely have gone to all the region except for which is that southernmost city, Yunus. Okay, to that city where this Hamas and all the people have actually concentrated. Their objective was to make sure that to release the hostages and to uproot this Hamas. But there is also another country which has been supporting this Houthi, this Hamas and others by providing them with training, with military equipments and all. So they had this hint that Iran is behind this. So they had this centers, Iran embassy in Damascus, Syria. Airstrikes were conducted by Israel on the Iranian embassy, and as a result of which, almost 16 people died. consisting of one general and brigadier general, right? So as a result of which, Iran also did a coordinated drone and missile attacks. So now the world is worried about what can be the probable thing. So Iran has its this is a very huge topic when it comes to Israel and see Russia, Ukraine. These are the things you need to know A to Z about the historical background of that. The same thing goes for Gaza, Israel, and what is the involvement of Iran in these activities. Okay, now what is the probable course of action in future? That is what I think. After that, Israel did not respond, something like that. So it was like something tit for tat. But they said that we are going to have a bigger one. But it would lead to higher or the greater regional imbalance and warlike situations. So it might also pose a threat for a third world war. The news is only about this much. Okay. So what the news is saying is that Israel attacked, Iran responded. So now what is the reply? What may be the probable reply of Israel on Iran? That is what the article is all about. See, the direct attack by the Iran on the Israel. Israel raises a concern about indicating potential intent. What is your intent? Ultimately, it was Iran said that I have to defend my sovereignty, and as a free country, will not let anyone to kill my citizens or threaten my political relationship with other countries. So they have to carry on this. Okay, so potential escalation threatens the regional stability and impacts energy prices. Ultimately, India is going to be affected from this. Why? Because India is the largest importer of crude oil, right? And Middle East, always the good supply of crude oil. If escalations happen, ultimately the per barrel, after this, I think the per barrel, the price have actually shot up to almost nearly $100 per barrel, right? So that might happen. So therefore, you should focus on what may be the probable, again, you can take it as an assignment also, what may be the probable implications of Iran-Israel conflict on the oil security for India. You can focus on that, okay, right? So India maintains strategic relationship with both countries because Israel has been always a traditional partner, and you have no. Do you know about AWACS? AWACS, early warning control system, which is mounted on the airplane for radar, better reach of radar and all those things. These are mounted on the airplanes like a disc, right? And as a flight passes, it can cover larger areas and it can detect the enemy incoming fighter jets or like missiles or anything like that. So that we have taken from Israel. Israel always supported India, and we have good defense relationship with Israel. Iran is important for us for oil. Okay, Iran I think is the second largest or third largest oil exporter to India. So we need both countries. So this is there showing the by bypassing Iraq, these are the probable areas where they can. It has been said that Iran is trying to enrich uranium, and Israel can target the uranium sites, and now they get the backing of US. US has always said that Iran stopped Iran from enriching the uranium by providing them with international sanctions. Understood? Understood? So this is all the news is all about, right? So next issue, India's East Asia outreach shows it central to regional stability. See, we have in international relations, that's it. We have only 2 more articles. We're going to complete it. But I'm going to say it in brief. Okay. See, ASEAN, you know what? ASEAN nations. So when it comes to international relations, you should understand India's involvement in many trade blocs or international blocs. For example, we have BRICS, we have IPSA. Okay. India is also part of BIMSTEC, G20 countries, right? SCO. No. Which are the international organizations in which India is there. Now, the ASEAN countries, which are the ASEAN countries and why ASEAN is important for India. When it comes to bilateral or the trade, in terms of bloc, this is the largest one, right? But it is given as 4th largest. ASEAN almost like we have huge amount of trading also going on. So it is also part of India's, first of all, lookist policy. Then it became actist policy. Why? Because we are trying to consolidate our relationships with the Southeast Asian nations. Done. Why? We have similarities, like cultural connection is there, Cholas extended up to this, yes or no? Laos, Cambodia, and all those things, right? We are dependent. I mean, we have good people-to-people relations. And if I talk about this Kaladan multimodal transit system, even for us, like in order to connect the northeast region, bypass. See, India mainland is connected to northeast region by one single chicken egg highway, right? That is called as Siliguri corridor. See, if you talk about the East-West Railway, starts from Porbandar in Gujarat to Siliguri, right? So, in order to provide development, Bangladesh may not be supporting. Bangladesh, okay, we have certain relationship, but the Sitwe port in Indian Ocean, in the Bay of Bengal, from there to the Manipur, from there we can provide connectivity up to Assam. So this is called as from the mouth of the Kaladan River. That is called as a multimodal transit system for ensuring the movement of people, right? Construction of roadways, railways. So ultimately, we are able to make sure that ASEAN is important for us for our regional ties, for trade activities, right? Right. But problem is that it has not been given much focus. The article talks about that East Asia's outreach shows now we are renewing this ties with these ASEAN countries and we are paying more attention on these ASEAN nations. Why? The article is about that. Why? Because we have historical, cultural and economic ties with the Southeast nations. Yes or no? So despite ties, recent survey shows that India has had a very less involvement. Therefore, it is important because India's trading with these countries has been increasing, and we have signed with some free trade agreements with some of the nations of this ASEAN conglomeration to enhance economic activities. Next, it is also part of our active policy connectivity for economic growth, and ultimately our stresses ASEAN centrality and adherence to national law. South China Sea tensions are also there, so obviously India is also trying to support their sovereignty claims in the South China Sea. The same thing goes for Laos, Vietnam and Philippines. Understood? And at the same time, we'll also have a good access to palm. India is one of the largest consumer of palm. Can you see this Southeast Asian countries? Right? This is Indochina. This region is called as what? Indochina. Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos. Okay? Cambodia. Done? Okay, fine. So last, I think this is the last article, if I'm not wrong. These are all the snippets. Just go through the snippets. So, again, can you see this Kaladan multimodal transit? It is connecting from Sitwe port, right? Passing through Myanmar and reaching Mizoram region. Right? So this is providing connectivity for the Northeast people for the movement of people and goods. Okay? Done. So we are almost done. See, India's reliance on oil imports hits a fresh full year high of in the financial year 24, means 87.7% of imported crude oil. So we have crude oil reserves, yes or no? Can you please name some of the crude oil reserves in India? Highest being Bombay High, offshore of Bombay, right? Then we have Digboy in Assam. Okay, then we have KG Basin, Krishna Godavari Basin. Then we have Damodar Basin, yes or no? Mahanadi Basin, Son River. These are some of the traditional regions which are producing crude oil, but India is not self-sufficient because increasing population and demand for energy. How much of oil we import? Of all the total oil consumption we have, 87.7% of the oil we actually import from other countries, and it has been a record high. Understood? So our focus is to move on from the non-renewables to the renewables, but still we have to import this much. Done? So heavy reliance on the oil imports impacts trade deficit. You understand what is a trade deficit? Difference between imports and exports. Import are more, exports are less. What is the gap? That is a deficit. Okay? Forex reserves, foreign exchange reserves, okay, and inflation, government. So these are the reasons for the increasing dependence, and government initiative aim to reduce the dependency through electrical mobility, and we have discussed about that, FAME and hybrid vehicles, all those things. Done? So hopefully this class was informative, and always make sure that one piece of advice before closing up this please go through it daily. See, I understand that you have been given material. That is good. The institution is doing great thing. Always try to read your articles on your own, then go through the material. It is going to enhance your understanding. And if possible, use the material, read the newspaper, come up with, do some research online, make your own notes. Because your own notes are going to only save you before exams, during exams, especially mains. Mains you can't study. Morning 3 hours, afternoon 3 hours, your hand will be like literally numb. You have to write so fast. With practice, okay, but still the examination scenario is different. So during exam, prelims or mains exam, you have to revise. You can't keep every books, your own notes. Do it for every material. Okay? Right? Is there anything you want to ask? So hopefully this class was informative for you. Right? Thank you so much. God bless you.